For sure. For sure. No, there's definitely
Oh,
a lot of.
absolutely. 100%
Hey, what's
what
up,
you guys
Bernie?
are talking about. And that it is the plasma. So what Myke was saying from the beginning with like the plasma ball lightning sort of entity of like the soul or the consciousness underlying like within the human physical body, but then that there's another one outside of it, like that continues into the afterworld sort of thing, but that it's in a cycle backwards right through time, which is energy. And then when you're in the time that is all time, well, and you're just energy, that's how you can travel anywhere, anytime, because it's just down the loop of how many cycles back, sort of thing. Kind of makes sense. And then in that sense, it's like overlapping realities or discs of time over top of each other, folding into the everything.
I mean, it makes sense. Everything is a helix. So at one point, that point is going to be on top of that point, on top of that point, If time is rotational, then
Right?
it makes sense, you know?
As for like the veil getting thinner, right, Lulu, how you experienced by fasting, essentially you were fasting, not eating, and you were getting closer to it and closer to it. And then the same is with sleep deprivation or fasting from sleep. And like as each day goes on, like you get to day 3 and like the shadows start turning into things and the wind starts talking to you and being different beings. Like a lot of people report that sort of stuff, and it goes like the
You
longer
talking
you're
about
awake.
like beings like people experience like on ayahuasca or DMT?
Yeah, exactly, like angels and
Wow.
demons or like Djinn, stuff like that.
The
This
belief
is
that
Or
we
the
are
out.
not just a physical being
this is
living in a physical universe, but
manifest
that we are multidimensional.
forms. It's for real. It's not just I'm seeing it, People around me, normal people, are seeing it too. See, this is where, like, in that stage, it's like you think it happens.
Right, so ball lightning essentially, and how it's usually recorded as being conscious or seeming conscious, and that if any other conscious is going to be just existing as energy or taking form within our third dimension, it would make sense that it would be in this pure plasma state, right, without physical.
Yeah. And why, like, and I always go back, and this is a dangerous game, but I like to go back to fiction, right? And we see ectoplasma, and these different, the flux capacitor, like they might be unintentional. Maybe they're, intentional though. Who knows? There are different
Absolutely.
elements that are there's different elements that are popping up, and they're kind of relating to what we're discovering in these new scientific phenomena.
Well, and what Myke was saying about all the different forms of hydrogen, and it's like they're actually different, like particles or materials are essentially like they I bet they fit in perfectly to Walter Russell's scale where he like literally predicts them and writes them. He just calls them different things. And yeah, that's a key part of tying it back into this plasmid unified theory and the coherence and making quantum coherence, and how she's getting these coherent geometries within on the oscilloscope like that. That's major parts. That's what I need to be blasting into my electrolysis and the plasma.
Yeah, it's her work is really crazy. Like it's when I first saw this, my mind was blown because what other frequencies when combined can do that? You know what I mean? Like what? That's everything that we've seen on oscilloscopes and with sound and waveforms. It doesn't make sense until you think about it on a larger scale. Large implications of the unified model and.
Oh, 100%. And actually, that kind of goes into what the last presentation on APEC there was, where this guy had like this little computer simulation of a unified theory, but that it wasn't like a full one, but it was like a complete one. So then it took out a bunch of steps, but it like worked in the computer model. So it's like there's many different, like
oh, there we go.
full fractal, I guess, theories of everything that connect in to how things work.
Sorry, my stream cut out for a second.
It's most definitely a mathematical.
There's many
equation.
combining models that like work in unison, sort of thing. But it's like
right. And I don't think this is the penultimate unified model. I think we're gonna find this fits in with another model or another theory in some way. I don't think it's complete, but it is a bigger picture. It does unify a lot of different elements that weren't unified before.
it's that there's a lot of cells that can operate independently within the complete overall, and that this is one of them, right? And that there's several more.
What if it comes out to be that our genetic activates the reality, that we should be in tune with, or it's a group of individuals, like how, like Aladdin, only Aladdin can open up the magic, cave and blah blah blah. It's like that. Like, what if it's something that a certain group of people are able to open up these different dimensions of existence? Like their brain waves oscillate at the same frequency, therefore they're able to alter their surroundings.
Or they could be more in tune with the plasmoids, which, if they're conscious, they could be the ones that give you the link to the Akashic record. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm sitting there
with your
meditating,
ancestors' energy, like,
yeah, definitely. And to the paranormal realm, whatever you want to call it. But when I'm sitting there meditating, I often think, like, whatever voice is calling back to me, is that what I'm hearing, or is that the voice of the Akashic? Is that the plasmoids?
Remember
it's
this,
interesting.
we're a library of we're the descendants of our ancestors. So at any point where a dream, if you have a dream, it could be a memory, but not your memory. It could be somebody in the past,
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
It's memory. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
That activates, and then we start, attaining knowledge that personally we didn't, learn, but maybe somebody in the past did. And when it gets activated, we know it automatically. It's like a library. If you think about it, it's nothing more. This whole like notion of the Akashic
It's neural link to the Akashic record of the other side.
Really still within us, because we're
epigenetics.
I don't know. I mean, just it makes sense that way, that different frequencies could activate different
For sure.
That of knowledge, and then maybe
if you look at the binaural beats, in the theory of putting different frequencies, I know, like, one frequency into one ear and another frequency in the other ear to have the combined interference pattern of both frequencies to get you into a higher state of consciousness. That is a real thing, and that.
I might.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. You have to have the right frequency. I forget what it is, but it's like one is offset from the other, but combined, the interference pattern, like, it puts you into like an alpha or an alpha wave. I forget what exactly the waveform that your brain just snaps into, but it's the high. Yeah,
Ezra,
and it's
shout out Mindful Exposures. We'll have to do a full episode planned out with her on exactly this, because it's huge.
Nice.
That binaural beats and breaking it down and what waves your brain's operating in.
Yes, because I have a lot to learn in this. Yeah, I have a lot to learn myself in this respect, and I'd like to learn more so I can actually use the binaural beats for my own purposes. So
there is there's a song or a melody. It's the most ancient hymn. Listen to it. It has, if you listen to it a few times and just go out, you see the world differently. I'll find it and I'll email it to you guys, but I don't the top of,
Look at this. Look.
Yeah.
These are the images that this guy's captured through his what now?
What?
That's
That's
freaky.
crazy.
It looks like shady video games, but Gringo, explain the full story.
Yeah, this is interesting. Okay.
Daniel
This is
Nemes has
wild.
had a passion for science and astronomy, so it was no surprise when his vocation took him into the field of science. Today, Nemes is both a scientist and inventor in Colombia, with him claiming he has the technology to photograph multidimensional beings. Nemes said that his interest in the multidimensional universe began after a magazine article attracted his attention about the dark matter of the universe. He then came up with the idea of devising technology through optical experiments along with mathematical calculations that would allow him to take images of multidimensional beings. Nemes knew about the development of technology which can capture images of black light, infrared, ultraviolet, and such. However, he went one step ahead and found a way of capturing the unknown that was far superior. He named the technology he invented energy vision. Nemes combined special lenses along with the sunlight and used screens that are ultra-sensitive that he created. With his invention, Nemes claims that he can capture images that are of unknown origin. The images come from other planes of existence and show various
Is
multidimensional
he using
beings
like
and
a
creatures.
kaleidoscope?
NASA and other companies must surely want to get their
No, he actually built a piece of equipment, like electronic stuff, you know.
Yeah, but like, is there like a reflection kaleidoscope crystal sort of thing cut in there?
I don't think so. I think it's
Okay, these are what?
I think
The,
it's all like, you know,
okay,
sensor
these three.
coil.
What the
Right, didn't the
actual?
time camera have a specific crystal in the lens in order for it to work?
I don't know too much about the device. I know it's electronic to some degree, to a large degree.
Well, there was a
hands
device
on
that
such
supposedly captured
technology, but Nemes
snippets of the past, and it supposedly used some kind of crystal in the lens. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't-
Okay, yeah, Robert Monroe. That's right, in the Monroe Institute, and they created HemiSync, and HemiSync is the science of it. Shout out Brock Prince. He's the one that actually taught that to me about a month ago. But Electric Samurai posted that in the chat, and I do believe we went into it a little bit. Actually, quite a bit actually in the one episode I did on my channel with Brock Prince and Hans Dietrich, and we're planning a full episode going more into it. And yeah, the binaural beats turned into HemiSync and the science of HemiSync through the Monroe Institute.
companies must surely want to get their hands on such technology, but Nemes said he has not exposed his invention, but he did try to make the scientific community aware of its existence. Nemes also claims the media has silenced his discovery and the images that he has taken using his technology. Nemes has published many images through Facebook and revealed that since 2015, he posted more than 1,000 photos to his page. The scientist claims to have had a great deal of rejection, and many insults have come his way, along with disbelief of the images. He said, "The only way I have to publicize my invention and the captures are by Facebook. Since 2015, I have posted 1,000 photos on my Facebook page. When I started to publish my images on my social network, I had a lot of rejection. It was very hard, and there were many insults towards me. Fortunately, my images are now more known, and when I post on Facebook or in other groups, it is rare to receive a disqualification or insult." There is no denying that the photos are strange, and in almost all of them, it is possible to see strange figures or faces. Many people who have had spiritual experiences in other dimensions or used a spirit molecule known as DMT report that these beings are very similar to the beings that they saw during their experiences. Whether they are the faces and bodies of multidimensional beings from unknown worlds remains to be proven. One thing is for sure, the images are incredibly interesting to look at. Tell us what you think. Do you believe multidimensional beings exist?
Well,
I think they do, and maybe that is images. Wild. How do we make one? Let's make one, Myke. Come on, get her done.
Get one of these things. It's a night vision.
Well, they're already made. They made us. That's what I'm trying to say. These beings made us. They are what create the life. These energy.
Okay, well, make the device so we can see them.
Wait, get night.
Yeah, I get you now. Make the device. That's probably a possibility. Yeah.
Okay, but help, guys. If you get night vision goggles with infrared, it has like an IR in it. Go out and look in the sky. You will see things that your eyes can't see normally. This is like the coolest little thing.
Thank you for watching.
You know?
If you enjoyed the video,
you might see some of this stuff, in the sky.
Yeah.
I mean, it works. I've tested
No, that's
it
a good idea. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. Fortunately, it doesn't have a like a digital. It's just I could see it. It doesn't have something that I could plug into a screen where I could show. But really, it's really very inexpensive, like maybe $30-$40, something like that. But yeah, get one of those and you can, see it for yourself. Like you really could see just things that the normal eye cannot see, Yeah. It's a fun little thing to, explore that world.
Yeah, you should quickly pull up the Alien Scientists channel. He's live streaming about Tesla tech right now with Russell Anderson. Pretty dope.
Yeah, look, I have him on the other screen. Haha.
Right? As do I.
On the other screen. I can't hear because I'm listening, but yeah.
Or back to the plasmid theory, because that's pretty badass too.
Very. Yeah.
Oh, hang on there.
Yeah, she was a little low, Gerald. The 2-hour lullaby, I know. It put a lot of people to sleep. So good call for next time.
Let me see here. Hold on.
Hey, Tucker. Thanks for all the love, buddy.
Millions. So this is high energy electrostatics. Well, those of you in the know of quantum QED, quantum electrodynamics and electrophysics, know that there is little difference between a high energy electrostatic field and a gravitational field. And from Dr. Gabriel Lippmann's discoveries,
hear the audio?
I forget exactly when that took place.
Yeah, we can make yes.
Dr. Gabriel Lippmann discovered that inertia is solely due to net charge. Inertia is solely due to net charge, not mass or local concentration of mass. And he called it the inertia of static electricity. Oddly, he won the Nobel for completely unrelated discovery or work. But that's important because the more load you put on the Searle effect generator, the colder it gets and the faster it runs and the lighter it gets too. That's superconductivity. So this is the book by our late colleague, Mr. John Thomas, who used to work for Kodak in Rochester. Anti-Gravity, Dream Made Reality. I bought this copy at Borders Bookstore in Pennsylvania, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. Facebook friend William Stillings is old enough to, or young enough to remember the weekly BBC broadcasts of the Searle work with, some flying footage. And his father was CIA in the United States when they moved to the United States. And he was paid to go around to all the Borders bookstores and buy up every copy he could find of this book off the shelves so that there would be none in circulation.
Really? Because they did that with a number of books, other people's books. They did that with Lightcraft by
it's a common
it's CIA a good book when it's expunged
to erase
book,
all
yeah.
records of a disruptive technology, so no one will know about it. And
Yeah, this
if
was
you
on
don't know
TV
about it, they won't
shows.
ask for it.
It was on like a 1990s television show called Future Fantastic. They were talking about how the future was going to be all these beam ships and electro,
Electrogravitics. That's
electrogravitic craft and stuff.
my specialty.
And it all got silenced, and then this book was released in Canada, and they bought out all the copies of it. It used to be like $2.5 grand for a copy of it on Amazon. I don't know if it is anymore. I think they might have republished some.
Yeah, and once these prices go to insane levels, when there are so few in circulation and they're highly prized, only the people that are well off will have.
What's the book? Look, what's that book you have? Like the Law of the Squares book.
Oh yeah, this is a book I got from John Thomas in exchange for some UFO VHSs on the Billy Meyer case, which is real, by the way. Liarans are real, ships are real.
Oh, the coveted
time
law of
travel is real.
squares.
Reincarnation is real. This is the Law of the Squares, book 4, showing an enlarged Searle effect generator or spintronic generator, enlarged for clarity. This is Law
Oh my
of the
God, we
Squares, book
need
4.
that book. That book is literally
I hope
magic.
that
It's
is
how
not
you
reversed,
I've
that
been
everyone
looking
can
for
see
this
it.
book.
No, that's
for-
the right
magic.
way. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been looking for this
Yeah,
book.
book 4
Wow.
has a lot of the secrets of making the Searle effect generator, spintronic
There's no
generator.
PDF link to that you'd have to buy that hard copy that's not available
If it's
anywhere.
still available, I think that we have some copies down, maybe in Fort Lauderdale, maybe in
Man,
digital.
I'd love to digitize that. We got to get
I
that
think
on
it's already
our database.
digitized. It may be on analog tape. I'm not sure.
I want it on our database along with
Yeah.
all of other, because we have a massive database of everything ever written on anti-gravity.
Yeah,
or
you
published.
definitely
Like,
need
I
this
think
stuff,
it's a
and I
PDF
highly
from
recommend.
the book,
This
but
is
it's not
one
the
of
entire thing.
Childress's books. I met David Hatcher Childress. He's
I
on
was just in
Yeah.
Fort Lauderdale.
Ancient Aliens all the time. I met him in 1994 at the Thomas Townsend Brown Convention in Philadelphia. That was the year I moved to Philadelphia from New York, when I was in my early 30s. But anyway, this is the Anti-Gravity Files book. It's the Searle effect generator on top for domestic use and for cars. That's what it would look like with the housing, just outside of its housing. And then there it is inside of a typical flying saucer shaped UFO, UAP, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't have any inertia once it gets down to 4 Kelvin, when it's overloaded and superconducting, because this type of current cools things. So the more you draw from it, the more you can draw from it. It's like the vacuum floodgates have opened, and that's a quote from the late Thomas Bearden. So this is a high energy electrostatic craft that has no inertia, no right angle turns at any speed, no problem. And you wouldn't feel any of it or know it unless you're looking at a porthole or a view screen, because you feel nothing. You're just subject to that 1/2 G onboard gravity. Why 1/2 G and not 1 G? We're not sure, but we think it has something to do with the balance of the two fields. They're like the two gravity fields, and it's like just like standing on a deck of the USS Enterprise or the Jupiter
Yes,
2.
please.
You stand upright. Everything falls at well, in this case, I mean, it's about 4.2 meters per second, 4.4 meters per second instead of 9.8 meters per second. It's about 1/2 G onboard gravity as the acceleration you feel inside going to the center. And the power source is on the outside. You're safe in the eye of the hurricane, basically. That was Dream 2. This technology came from a series of 2 dreams. I highly, highly, highly recommend this book because it explains what's going on with these technologies. They're all, accessing the 0-point energy or the ether as nature does routinely. And that's through, as Victor Schauberger showed, implosion and falling temperature gradient. So this is Order Out of Chaos by Ilya Prigogine and Isabel Stengers, 1984, Bantam Books, New York. I picked this up at a really cool bookstore that is no longer in existence called Star Magic. Used to be on let's see, what street was that? Anyway, heading down into Soho, Park Avenue, I guess. Park Avenue, Soho. Star Magic. And Man and the Energy Dance, basically. It says, with a foreword by Alvin Toffler, who, of course, you may remember wrote Future Shock, which is a seminal book, a very important book, another very important book. My library is humongous, but not just humongous, it's filled with the right kind of books, the kind of books that empower people, empower our civilization, and not the just the military industrial establishment elite.
Right. I used to have a copy of that too, by the way, Future Shock. So I was just looking for it on my shelf, but I don't see it here.
There's got to be a PDF because it's such a seminal tome.
Yeah, that one was. So the conference starting on Wednesday. You're trying to get out there right now, and you're down in Florida.
Yeah.
And you've run into some situation and trying to get out there and some problems, right? And I'm
yeah,
I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
just had to take a huge pay cut because I lost the research and development job I was working on for the Graviflyer. I had gotten a couple of kits directly from Sergey, the Russian person is living in Portugal, Chekhirkov, Mr. Chekhirkov. I bought his kits, tried to get them to work. My job that I got hired on to work on it down here in Central Florida was only 2 years, so I had 2 years to make it work. And after 2 years, we could make it work, even with his own kits, Chekhirkov's own kits.
Right. Yeah, I know a number of people that were, trying to work with Alexei. And
a couple months ago, I was working with a scientist, NASA scientist, and he gave me permission to share his name. I have his business card here somewhere. Here it is. It's Wei Peng Yu, PhD from NASA. He's a NASA scientist living in Orlando, and he got a kit from Alexei Chekhirkov also. And he said, "Can you come over and help us with it?" So on a Saturday, I was headed down to Palm Bay to our president's house. It's Bradley Lockerman, Palm Bay. So we're both in Florida.
I wouldn't share his card unless he wants you to.
He said it's okay to share his information. So
all right, I'll post it. I'll put it up there again. Hold it up again if you want. I mean,
yeah.
Check that out if you want to get in touch with him.
Yeah. Anyway, I assembled a Graviflyer for him, and you have to get a converter that'll convert European or Chinese current, which is 230 to 250 volts at 50 hertz.
Yeah.
Instead of what we have, which is 110 to 120 at 60 hertz. You have to get a converter to get that working, because it's a Tesla coil. The Tesla coil is one of the main, it's all important. And the Tesla coil sends charge to the single plate, the central plate, at about 1 million hertz, at 1 megahertz.
Do you have a diagram of this somewhere? Or you want to bring one up? I mean, I'm showing the conference here. I'd like to.
I don't have a diagram handy of that, but Charles Crawford, who I work with, has the last bit of electronic equipment.
Is pretty much, did he say the only thing that's missing is getting the Graviflyer onto a converter to have it into
a lot of my last beamship kits that I had with me to him, as well as my power supply, which is a shame. I do have a negative power supply left right here, because the company that made them, Information Unlimited, which was run by Bob Iannini, and Bob Iannini also owned Tab Books, which you may remember as very, really good educational electronics books for electronics hobbyists and that sort of thing, radio hobbyists. Anyway,
I think I've heard of them.
A gentleman named what's his name? David Shearer down here in Florida needed a power supply, and he said, "Do you know where these power supplies can be get?" And he said, "I said, well, what about Information Unlimited?" That came right away. He said, "No." He said he tried to contact them, and his wife said that he died. Bob died. He was old. And the company has been dissolved, which is a shame because they had something really special in their anti-gravity drivers, their 50,000 volt drivers. It was a transformer. Basically, takes the place of a large, heavy flyback, and the transformer T1 was about the size of a large sugar cube, and it did the job of a Tesla coil. And it had a Cockcroft-Walton voltage multiplier. So it took the about 3 kilovolts at forget how many amps, maybe about 3 amps coming off the Tesla coil into about 1 to 2 milliamps at 50,000 volts after the charge leaves the voltage multiplier. And then you just ground it with the ground wire, and the whole board weighed only about 125 grams. So Bob said a scientist back in 2003, he said a scientist, he told me when we were talking on the phone, had gotten one of my beam ships to lift off against the Earth's gravity with onboard power. He said a large device, I guess a couple meters in diameter. Well, I had ones that were a couple meters in diameter, and a lithium polymer battery. It ran for several minutes while making the battery very hot because of the charge it was sucking up out of the battery. But it will run, the power supply will run on 12 volts, which is when a lithium polymer battery is charged, it's almost 12 volts. And so that power module, high voltage power module, was really good. I sold a lot of them since 2002, all over the world, Japan. It helped kids win science fairs. And
are you still selling those somewhere?
Yeah, I am still selling them, but
where can people buy those? I mean,
they can buy them from me directly. My website is no longer in existence because several years ago, I guess in 2012, the carrier hosting the website went out of business and didn't even tell me, and I never got a new website. However, they can order directly from me, and I will have special conference pricing over the next week or so, starting tonight.
Maybe we could talk about getting those up on our because we have a store too. I could maybe try to get that up and sell that for you.
Yes, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
so
they're all different sizes.
Long story short, Russell, you're let's talk about this because you're trying to get to Albuquerque, New Mexico, for Wednesday. Right now, it's going to be Sunday tomorrow, and you're
driving out there, and I've got a situation with my rent, and I really have to get that paid, or I am in dire straits next week, the first day of the conference. So I have to get that going even before the conference starts, because otherwise I will be in great difficulty, shall we say.
I wish I could put a GoFundMe together for you, or we could do something like that. And I just, I
just had to take such a pay cut, and I've been teaching music, and a lot of my clients, I teach music at 3 music schools around the area, part of the same chain, and a lot of my clients go away for the summer. And I had stopped teaching music when I joined Spintronics, ironically, back in 2013.
Once you lose those good consistent clients, or your
they go away for the summer, bless them. But it's been really difficult these past couple of months trying to make ends meet, and the shelter obviously is
Russell's an excellent musician, by the way. We jammed at Tesla Tech 2 years ago on the guitars and stuff, so he's
yeah. Well, I teach 5 different musical instruments: piano, keyboards, guitar, all styles of guitar, from lead guitar to classical guitar to jazz guitar, whatever. The music theory, of course, cello, violin, and bass guitar also.
Nice. Nice.
So, you
Yeah,
know,
but it's not
if you want to take, you know, do a StreamYard, I can give you a music lesson right over the StreamYard if you like, remotely,
right.
which also became in vogue during the pandemic. That's another thing that came out of the pandemic. Oh, by
Yeah.
the way, this is a ring segment that was made in San Diego in, I guess, 2010, 2011. This is a layered version. All the previous Searle effect generators were homogeneous. In other words, just like a regular magnet. This layering of 4 of the requisite elements was proposed because Professor Searle said suggested it might work even better than the homogeneous magnets, of course, which worked fine, and they continued to work even decades after they had been lying out, you know, to be discarded. But yeah, you need 4 elements basically to make it self-running, self-sustaining. The plates and runners, this is a runner segment. The runners are a cylinder made out of 8 of these discs. I'll take it out. Made of 8 stacked discs, which are joined magnetically. On the outer layer, you have copper. You have to have an element that's electrically conductive yet diamagnetic or paramagnetic on the outer surface or within the matrix of the magnet itself. Then you have iron, that's next in. That's magnetized with a special pattern. And then you have 8 of these discs that are joined when you magnetize them. And you shoot them with a combination AC and DC simultaneously, which was thought at the time to be absolutely crazy, but it worked. And it created these patterns of north-south poles, which we call maxils, which are also called magnetic bubbles, Professor Searle said. And then you have a nylon layer. You have to have some kind of thermoplastic as a binder or a layer. And that smooths out the pulses and keeps continuous cold current going through this thing, because this current is cold. It's not a hot current. It's boson current. It's not fermion current. It's boson pair.
Interesting.
Cooper pairs, they also call them. So it does the opposite of a conventional fermion current, where you have single electrons that have no other choice but to bounce all over the place and create kinetic energy and heat. Kinetic energy creates heat. Well, that's not how nature works, really. Nature likes cold. Nature works in cold, as Victor Schauberger said. That's really nice. I like that spinner. Yeah, nature likes cold implosion instead of explosion. Heat creates explosion, or is created by explosion or expansion. And this is, instead of centrifugal motion, is centripetal motion and a falling temperature gradient. So implosion and a falling temperature gradient. That's what you have with order out of chaos. That's how nature works. And Searle technology. It works congruent with nature. So that's why it's a step in the right direction, instead of all the steps in the wrong direction that have been foisted upon us by people who are quite simply, I've come to this conclusion, they're ill of spirit, as the Pleiadian extraterrestrials say. They're ill of spirit. Not just ill of body, but ill of spirit. So this technology that could totally transform our world, increase our lifespans, cure diseases like oh God, Gordon Goodfellow was dying back in the day when they were building these things and flying them in England. And he was dying of a lung ailment. And Professor
So he said boson
these
instead of
generators
fermion.
Just let
That's
it run in your house. Do you know?
Yes, sir, he did.
A few days,
Part of it.
Gordon Goodfellow's lung ailment completely disappeared. The doctors had given him like anywhere from 2 months to 6 weeks to live. Anyway, that passed. He his health was completely restored.
I believe that could
by having this device in his home. It's a negative charge device. Well, all our wiring, even if it's AC, is positively charged. This is negative charge.
Be real careful with health claims on YouTube. and claims about stuff like that. So that
They're still trying to figure out the God particle.
they can flag you for stuff like that.
They can do it, but they haven't done it yet. And look how many years it's been.
Well, that seems like a interesting. I mean, it's a fantastical claim, and I'd love to see.
Oh, it's not fantastical at all. In fact, they show, if you've kept up with the developments, and actually it was on Alt Propulsion website, they showed that high voltage electrical charges heal wounds great deal faster, which is exactly what happened when Professor Searle was in an explosion in his lab. The whole right side of his face was burned. Well, you couldn't tell it except only maybe dermatologists who know skin, because after not even a day in the hospital, he said, "Take me home. I want to go home." Well, he had a SEG running in the wall of his home. It was built into the wall of his home, putting out negative ions, like a negative ion generator on steroids. Professor Searle says once you have one of these running in your home, it's not like you're breathing air anymore. It's like you're drinking fresh spring water. And the air, there's a smell of ozone, of course, and the air is just very clean. There should be one of these in every burn ward because it heals ultra fast. If you have ultra fast healing, there's no time for scar tissue to form. And not only that, it kills germs in the air. It just knocks germs and viruses and pathogens right out of the air. And dirt, too, just falls to the floor. So that just means you have to mop your floors every day. But no, it just
this is interesting, but I don't want to put out any endorsements for any kind of
pollutants too, smoke and pollutants.
Yeah, no endorsing any health or anything like that.
So you're trying to get out here to this conference,
right? Like this is just for knowledge.
This is
information
the in-person pricing for if you want to go in person.
We do not verify any of
passes. And then they have the live stream option for people like me. I
usually have the banner at the bottom scroll.
And for what you get, it's a bargain, I think.
So I think this is like a good bargain. I mean, for the live stream, it's it's $100 to live.
I put the link on the Alt Propulsion website so people can go right to that and order it. And see all 5 days and all 5 presentations.
I'm familiar with you. Isaiah Ritchie's talked about his Searle effect generators thing on APEC before, I believe. I met Steve Ward and the Ward generator there. The Brown's gas stuff. This is interesting, George.
Definitely not Rockefeller.
Interesting. I remember.
Rockefeller approved to get.
There was a couple people there.
There's a lot of interesting presentations every year, but this year too, particularly.
I see a few guys that have been on APEC before or come through, but it's interesting. I just I wonder, man. Like, I wish Steve was here to talk to, but yeah.
Yeah, last I talked to him, he was at the hotel getting ready to unload. He gave me a call.
And then you get the DVD for
that's the set DVD set of all the talks. Yeah.
Are they they're back at the Crown Plaza in Albuquerque?
Yeah, back at the Crown Plaza in Albuquerque. Great hotel, very nice.
The pool, real nice,
Yeah, the pool and jacuzzis and the food is fantastic.
Yep. Yeah, lots of cool stuff to do with
University Boulevard, Albuquerque, right there, right next to I-25.
Yeah, yep. You can't miss it. It's the tallest building on the way.
Yeah, you can see it for like at least a couple miles. Yeah.
Yeah.
The purple Crown Plaza.
Yeah, I had a good time. The times that I've gone a couple of years. But that's awesome that they're doing the live stream. I might have to check with that. So yeah.
Last year they only had the live stream of that engine. What was the guy's name? I forget.
Yeah, the thunderstorm generator.
Yeah, the thunderstorm generator. Yeah, but I can't remember the name of the gentleman.
Malcolm Bendel.
That's right. Yeah, that was a really great presentation. He ran it indoors, ran it outdoors. It was pretty cool.
I was pretty disappointed that I missed that because I wanted to check that all out.
Yeah, they had that on live stream, but this year they had the entire conference on live stream for only $99, which is great, less than $100.
Yeah,
really pays for itself.
that's the best package on here. I think is if you're gonna do it, you know. But
Yeah, if you can't make it
definitely
there,
if you can't show up in person, you know, Friday night is and Saturday night are usually like really cool events there. So if you're in Albuquerque and local, you might want to just come down to the Crown Plaza just to come hang out with all the crazy, eccentric scientists, weirdos like Tesla weirdos,
Like-
like us.
like us, yeah, like me, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but no,
so
it's my
it's a good time. No, it's
yeah.
a good time. I really hope that you can find a sponsor or someone can come through and maybe someone's watching this. It's like, hey, I'm an old
Yeah,
friend of
here's
Russell.
the flyer from the conference right here.
Russell, how can people reach out and get a hold of you if someone out there wants to help you out? And
Well, they can email me at russanderson3@hotmail.com. That's RUSSANDERSON3, not Russell Anderson, but russanderson3@hotmail.com, or give me a call. Just give me a call. My number is 484-255-1072. That's 484-255-1072.
yep, I won't post that so the bots don't, you know, get you spam. So, but
Okay.
people who want to reach out to Russell and help him get from, you know, Florida, and
Yeah,
so the department doesn't get shut
my
down.
I don't know if anybody can see my email there, but that's it. russanderson3@hotmail.com.
Yeah, shoot Russell an email if you can help him out, man.
Yeah, if you can
know,
help with whatever you
appreciate
can
that.
afford, your that and 1,000 in my book, and helping to alleviate some stress. And you know, I'm trying to get out there, and you know, I've got this rent hanging over my head, and I got to pay it.
It's tough right now, man.
It is tough. It is really tough. When prices started to go up during the pandemic, it started to get really tough. They said, oh, supply chain issues and everything. But what really happened mostly is greedflation.
Yeah, AOL still works too, and MySpace is still works too. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's
Yeah.
we're
I've
in
had
kind
that.
of a weird
I've had
timeline.
it since the year 2000. Since the year 2000.
We're in that alternate timeline, you know.
Yeah, it's an alternate reality. And has everybody noticed? I'm sure they have, because even the young people are saying it, that time.
I was standing on the edge of my toilet, hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, I had a revelation, a vision, a picture in my head. Toilet, hanging a clock. The porcelain was wet. I slipped, hit my head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, the edge of my toilet,
Hey, what
hanging a
happened?
clock,
Back to
the
the future.
porcelain was wet.
Right?
That's exactly what he hit it on the head. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I
we
wish
have
that
to,
more people were interested in, you know, this kind of, you know, groundbreaking energy breakthroughs, technology, and getting these technologies.
My head on the edge of the sink, and when I came to, I had a revelation, a
What?
vision, a picture
Mike,
in
you
my
doing
head.
this or what's
We
going on
need
there?
free energy and star drive, you know, suppressed cures for disease, so we can lengthen our lifespans back up to where they're supposed to be. We're not supposed to live just, 80, 100 years.
Yeah, right.
We're supposed to live 800 to 1,000 years.
According to the Bible and stuff, that's what Noah lived to be, like 800.
Methuselah.
People, all, like a lot
Yeah,
of people,
Methuselah too.
yeah, they
You
were
know,
all like
these
lived to be like
people,
that old. Oh, that's kind of
yeah, they were
a whole other
not.
conversation.
Yeah, they were not.
To this is what makes time travel possible. The flux capacitor.
Flux capacitor.
After all, life is learning. You know, the Russians say, live 100 years, learn 100 years. If you only live 100 years, that's not really enough time. Or 70 years, maybe that's not enough time to gain spiritual insights.
Wait, who's doing that?
You only gain spiritual insights through having a life experience, apparently.
Oh, you?
So the more life, it's been shown and known since the 1940s that the human brain can live for 1,000 years. So
Do it. Do it! Do it. Do it. Do it. Do it.
In
Well
the time
played,
permitted
Mike.
to us, and that time is supposed to be a lot more. Our genome was artificially altered to give us a really, really short lifespan, to just use us as slaves to do things like build pyramids and things. But we are spiritual beings. We have the right of self-determination and the right to have a long, healthy life. And that right has been taken from us, and through genetic engineering and
Guy on the left.
that's Fernando Morris on the left. Yeah,
Okay,
Jason
yeah,
I've known
yeah.
since 2005, and Fernando I've known since 2006.
And what?
Yeah, he knows Fernando.
Yeah.
Why is there no sound? It's a lie. It's a lie.
High voltage.
A lie.
High voltage is alive. And it becomes plasma. Good call.
Whatever, it springs back to its original shape, or just flat. And that was something unknown in 1940, 46, 47.
But that memory material is not the same as the arts parts stuff, is it? Is it?
No, arts parts is something different. Arts parts
Yeah, so
is not the memory material. The memory
I-
material is something different.
Well, the thing that I posted this on Twitter today, and because I came up to this idea, I had guys like Ed Fouché talking about quasi crystals being the key to anti-gravity and how the ships worked, and
It's one key. If you ever heard of the work or seen the work of Kowski and Frost, where crystal, I think it's a Rochelle salt crystal, either a quartz crystal or Rochelle salt crystal. I think it's a Rochelle salt crystal that is energized with transverse AC, RF, and high voltage DC. Very similar to what Hutchison did up in Canada.
I think
Yeah,
I've seen these videos. They're out of Russia.
still want my
I think.
flying car. I was supposed to be Tuesday. Well, actually, we do have them now, but they're just glorified giant drones, mostly, and they're really good. And then there's this guy that has this flyboard, which is a jet engine, and he just flies around on. It's like something out of a comic book, and that can run for better part of an hour and get you a good distance at a pretty good speed. But that's still conventional technology. What we champion and we know about and know how to do, and it's very much simpler, is electrogravitics. And it's also electrohydrodynamics, magnetohydrodynamics. and electrostatic propulsion. And NASA Breakthrough Propulsion Lab right here in Florida just had a big breakthrough several months ago. It might even have been late last year, where they have electrostatic thruster that's, you know, all solid state, and it delivers 1 G of acceleration. So it can easily lift itself off against Earth's gravity and keep accelerating right into space as if it was a rocket, but it's an electric rocket.
Yes. And I think that's Charles Bueller's stuff, right?
Yeah, and works in a vacuum. In fact, it works better in a
That's
vacuum.
amazing. That
That's
was
right.
right around Christmas time of last year. It was
Of 23, yes. I thought it came out late last year. Yeah,
the stream, like
that's right. That happened not too far from here in Florida. I'm in Central Florida.
Yeah. Tim Ventura was down there a couple weeks ago interviewing.
Yeah. I wish I could have met with him, but I guess he didn't have time.
That's too bad.
But I've known Tim since 2001.
Right, and it was back in the day when I first was getting into this stuff. It was a very few people involved in this kind of research in general.
In the early days of the internet, thank God for the internet, as they say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the only way that we're gonna ever figure this out, if it can be figured out, is by, you know, people like us putting our heads together and
people replicating the devices and the technology. And this anti-gravity goes way back to George S. Pigott in 1903-04. Which coincidentally was around the same time that Robert Goddard was getting started with his rocket experiments and eventually got some patents that the Germans copied, both the liquid fuel system and the gyroscopic guidance system.
George Pigott.
George S. Pigott. For George S. Pigott on Rex Research, maybe. You know Rex.
How do you spell his last name?
Piggott. Yeah, I've included him in several of my presentations, actually.
Oh, is this him, Bettesworth Pigott? No.
Let's see. No,
this can't
that's
be
British
him.
judge. No.
Judge.
Yeah.
We want the other Pigott. Yeah, have to find
George
me some
S.
stuff on him. You
Pigott.
said George Pigott, and he'd be on Rex Research.
Yeah, rexresearch.com. Try that.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, all right.
Yep, there he is.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so he was doing the. All right. Yeah, this is
Yeah. See, he was using an electrostatic generator.
very similar to
evacuated. Well, actually, under several atmospheres to raise the current level. It wasn't evacuated. And it was some kind of either a wind source machine or some other powerful static machine. It generated somewhere up to 500,000 volts, and I don't know what the current level was, but he was able to remove that ground plate, and whatever he was levitating stayed levitated, and would have a blue band around it, which was really interesting. That was the first instance that I'm aware of any experimentation with electrogravitation and
how an object in space could move without any propellant. Well, the answer lies in the ingenious work of Charles Bueller, the man who dared imagine trying to move a car without gas or electricity. It sounds impossible, right? Well, in the vacuum of space, things work a bit differently. Before we continue, let's take a moment to discuss an important milestone in Charles Bueller.
I can't hear anything.
Yeah, no sound.
A major step forward in propellantless propulsion.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
You can't hear the alien
Now I
science?
Now I can. No, whatever you have up.
Oh. Where is it?
Did you guys hear about like the Japanese are gonna create a space elevator starting next year?
Yeah.
To use the inherent forces of a mock space
You
setting
know, I
to
did hear
generate
something about
propulsion
that.
without the need for fuel. The experiment was a triumph. With the
They're gonna use like yesterday we're talking about graphene graphite. They're using like graphene nanotube rope for that, like for that space
That's
elevator.
crazy. Oh, to just like use as a tether.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's insane. I mean, I don't honestly, I haven't thought about it enough to think if it could work or not, but you know, if they can get it to work, I guess that's cool.
I think that would be one of the coolest projects, you know, like a real good project. Not
And you know that now that I think about it though, a space elevator will probably be the most practical way to bring civilians into space, right?
yeah.
Oh,
I think
that's cool. Huh.
yeah. I don't know. I would want to go on that. It would be like really economical for to transport stuff to the International Space Station too. You
That
know?
too. Yeah, that too. We can get them emergency equipment too real fast.
Yeah, like we would
Wow.
have to, you know, use so much fuel or any of that
Mm.
stuff. Space
No,
elevator.
that's cool. I like it. Yeah, I can dig it.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about like, okay, how would it be stuck to the orbit? You know, like what are they gonna tether it up there? It has to be on some orbit, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like locked into an orbit, and then you'd have to have like a platform that can launch to the space station. You wouldn't be possible to connect it to the space station because the space station like laps around Earth. I don't know, like maybe 10, 12 times, you know, a day or
Right,
something
it's
like.
going faster. You have to
Yeah,
anchor it to something that's going the exact same speed.
exactly. So, you know,
Wow. I never thought about that.
yeah, it's cool. It would be a cool concept. And plus, it would like if they're able really to do that, they can clean up all the space debris. If you think about it, you'd have like something.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It would be a cool concept. I mean, they're gonna start it next year, so I'm really looking forward to see what happens to that.
What, the space
Tammy
elevator?
says it would be nice if Bob Greene or Malcolm Bendel attended the Tesla Tech conference this year. I agree. And it was really nice of Bob Grenier to stop by our live stream or our premiere earlier. That was really cool.
This guy.
But yeah, let's go back to the what they're talking about.
All right. Let me see here.
Yeah, this guy Russell
engineer at
Anderson's
work.
fascinating.
Show this quote.
I feel
Sir
bad.
Oliver Lodge said, "The ether is not a physical thing. We cannot get a hold of it physically. Ether is non-physical. Well, it's Lorentz invariant and non-physical." He said, "We can only get it electrically, quote unquote."
That's
That's the nature of space-time. And Thomas Townsend Brown's experiments in Agnew and Expansion labs in the late 1950s.
Yep, and down in North Carolina.
Well, that
That's
makes
right,
sense
in
because
Winston-Salem, North
the
Carolina,
ether isn't physical; it's
basically
counter space. It's
also
not space.
showed that these that inertia, you can isolate a body with inertia with high voltage from inertia with high voltage, but the nature of space-time is
Bearden
fundamentally
said
electrical.
there are no empty spaces.
I wonder if like these longitudinal modes that
bubbles.
David Chester was talking about is this the key to that thing, because it seems to be like what he's pulled out of the whole Bearden loopholes and what other people have talked about with the B cross B field and others with the Heaviside Gibbs reformalization and a lot of that stuff seems to be like where the gap is in the physics that I've, you know, from what I
Yeah, it's tangential. It's all tangential, and it's all connected, and it's all, as Thomas Bearden.
I hope this is the year. I really hope this is the year.
It's got to be. It's got to be. We've you know we're running out of time, and we've run out of time. We need a pollution revolution, and I believe that is at hand. We just got to let people know. through your efforts and mine and all our colleagues, we've been doing that, but we have to redouble our effort on these things. My talk is on, let's see.
Do you have a flight already, or are you going to drive?
Well, we always drive now, so I can bring out equipment.
Yeah.
True,
yeah. You can't imagine trying to get
electrogravitics, the far side of disclosure.
They don't like when you bring electrogravitic demonstrations on planes.
Yeah. Well, I had brought, I can bring whatever I want when I go in a car, and I had brought kits to sell, and they usually sell, but it was so sparsely attended, I didn't really have good sales last year. But
well, hopefully
I want to have some more. I would like to have some more sales. Maybe you could help spread the word about my beamship kits that I've been selling since the year 2002, after several months of research. And
those are cool, man. It'd be good to find some educators out there that want to show this stuff off to their students. That's a great way.
Yeah, well, I've been in schools helping kids, build these things and then fly them. Most notably, Dearborn, Michigan, back in 2003. I helped Russ Gibbs' video class, the students there, win the 2003 Detroit Metro Science Fair physics division with one of my beam ships. And they got on the local television with it also. And who knows what DARPA has created by now? Well, I think you should believe people when they say what they say, like Ben Rich, the former head of the Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, came out with this U-2 spy plane and various other things, including the
he said we have the
B-2
technology
stealth
to
bomber,
go
Spirit bomber. That
travel
he
the
said,
stars.
Whatever you see in science fiction, we can already do. And he also said we have the technology to take ET home. That's warp drive. That's warp drive in real time. When you're traveling inside a bubble of normal space. And
how do we do it? I want to know. I want to.
Well, I just look at my. You look at my.
We have to create negative energy according to the
negative. What do you think negative energy is? Negative energy is the. Yes. Bingo. On the nose. It's the Dirac sea of electrons, or the sea of negative energy.
Yeah.
That's the ether.
So you could maybe produce it with polariton condensate.
Yes, or Bose-Einstein condensates.
Yeah.
And of course
that term Dirac sea is familiar to me.
Electrohydrodynamics. They showed in Paris,
these
France,
are both
the inventor,
very key
and,
aspects. 100%.
Paris, France government aerospace agency in a large vacuum chamber, much bigger than General Electric, which they did in '59. They did in '55, and showed that these things, these electrified saucer airfoils, they fly better in a hard vacuum. There seemed to be no limit to the speed in a vacuum. In fact, they had to shut it down.
Wow,
and there's no
sounds amazing.
Boom.
I mean, because there's a lot. That's a big controversy right now. So, that was in Jesse Michaels' recent documentary, and there's a $50,000 award for anyone that can definitively prove that with the show and the experiment to
well, not only do you have inertia isolation, which Brown proved with his apparatus. He would turn it on, and then you'd have a double-sided capacitor saucer. You turn it on, it would be going one way, and at a certain speed, usually pretty fast. And then he'd flip the switch, flip the polarity, reverse the polarity, and without even speeding up or slowing down, it would head off in the opposite direction at the same speed.
Wow.
Not only that, Northrop Corporation in the late 1960s did experiments with electrified airfoils, and they found that skin heating is greatly reduced, sonic boom is eliminated, and perhaps most importantly, with all this electromagnetic stealth work, radar signature is reduced or totally eliminated. Especially in a flying wing type shape or boomerang type shape.
Yep.
So why is a guy like that doesn't have it?
That reminds me of because the Lake Marabou stuff, they were using the lasers.
Because Lulu, it's because America's ass backwards,
I have his
and
book,
they're
Future
funding
of Flight,
illegal immigrants to spend in fancy hotels instead of funding this guy to go test what's back into his research.
You don't want anything ground-based. You want to, if you want a real beam ship, you want to maybe take your laser with you you know, and have
They
it
have this thing
either
on. Yeah,
nuclear powered or solar powered or something.
I bet you they have these ships already. They have.
Oh,
They
of course,
put
you know they
on there.
do. There are two sources I've always said since even before the turn of the millennium. I said, you know, there are two sources to UFOs. One is terrestrial, one is extraterrestrial.
Yeah,
Using
yeah.
similar technologies. Some
Those
developed on Earth, some plundered from recovered craft.
those Ben Rich quotes came from, I think, Jim Goodall, right? They weren't actually.
Also, I think John Lear.
Yeah, they weren't actually attributed. Like no one's actually has a recording, and Ben Rich actually said this. And
Yeah, but
Bernie,
these are
what's that
famous quotes
article?
nevertheless,
That's
and I
one
believe
wrong?
them, especially in light of the disclosed recent patents by Salvatore
Sorry, what was
Pais.
that, Lulu?
I said,
yeah, I'm
what
pretty
did
sure
you
that
post?
that
U.S.
was
Navy, those are Navy patents, and the only reason they were issued was because the
can't
patent
hear
examiner said, you know,
over the.
are these working? He
Don't
said
worry.
the guy who filed the patent said, or the group that filed the patent said, yes, these are working patents. These patents are of working devices
yeah.
in service. I'm like, okay, well that explains a lot.
Because there's a lot of people that were like, "Oh, that's Pentagon. That's the Pentagon putting out disinformation. You know, to warn our. They're trying to warn Russia that we have, you know, super weapons and Wonderwaffe, and I don't know. So there's like, you know, there's people that are doubting this and think that, you know, that the
Yeah,
US
well, you don't have
Navy.
to doubt it. We've had this, you know, for 100 years. Look at the German technology. Look at, like you mentioned, the Wonderwaffens. Well, the Germans didn't have great rocket scientists. Were brought over here at the close of the war in 1945 under
There's no sound.
Yeah, the sound cut out again. We can make up our own dialogue.
I don't think the video has audio.
Oh, okay. Huh. Yeah, it's just an older video, huh?
Oh, take a picture of that calendar, please, please, please. I need that picture of that calendar because I think they alter, like they shift days and times. But if we have an old one, a real one, then we can count the days and see if we're really accurately on the same day that we're supposed to. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the theory that we kind of like.
Yeah.
This plays into the Mandela effect, right?
Yes. Yes. Take a picture. I keep old calendars because there's always.
Oh, that's cool.
Yes. And if you play it back a bit, I want to take a snap image of that calendar. Myke, please.
That's crazy.
I promise.
There was a
count the days. You'll see a discrepancy in that.
There is
That
a
is
theory
correct,
that
Solar Marshal, and the link that's posted is to join if you want to join.
there is a theory that this kid had on YouTube a while ago about the particle accelerator in Searle, Switzerland. He said that the Mandela effect it could be caused by when they turned on the particle accelerator, there created a split in our timeline,
Like a fracture or something.
Yeah, like a fracture.
Similar things have been rumored around the Philadelphia experiment sort of thing as well, I've heard. But yeah, CERN, because there's also been the similar images of what Myke posted earlier, that Daniel Nemez guy, but were from CERN. And there was some
Mhm.
other dude that had this camera, and there's recordings of like similar things coming out of the plasma in the center of the CERN reactor. It's pretty wild and creepy.
I wish there's sound so they could tell us why are they marking the calendar.
And yeah.
You know,
Doesn't look like it has audio.
a couple of months ago, I had the weirdest anomaly. I have receipts that I'm at the same time in two different places. Explain that one to me.
Deja vu.
You know, I asked Jeremiah Pop. He said that the only explanation would be a gravitational well. That the Earth's gravity was much denser at that point, or there was much more, gravity traction, that it could alter time. But there's 15 minutes in, like, there's supposed to be like at least 15 minutes in between those two events. And I have them on receipt, not just one time, on 3 different occasions.
Yeah, I remember you told us this before.
I know.
15 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a very interesting story. And you have the receipts too.
I still have them. I could bring them. I could show it to you guys if you want. I have, like, it's.
Yes, please.
Okay, give me a sec.
You see this? Got another video here of the T.T. Brown stuff.
See, maybe Tic Tacs or blimp aerogel connected with this electrostatic.
And that thing's heavy too, or it looks heavy.
Most of these Brown videos don't have audio.
Look at how it's like a bell, like more of a bell disc shape.
Right? And then notice the little tiny spheres. What is that? Like a coil with spheres on them?
Oh, is that springs or what's going between? Interesting.
Yeah, on the left-hand side, you see something with a bunch of metal spheres on it. I wonder what's going on there. I guess that's how you handle your balls.
The spheres.
Yeah, that's some people are like, oh, it's just ion propulsion. Like, if that thing's that heavy, it's not going to be ion propulsion. Come on.
It's not. It's potential propulsion.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, like you got to think about these things a little bit more in depth. That some of the skeptics are just looking at its surface, surface value. Oh, wow, I didn't see that before. That's crazy. That electric arc?
Yeah, the arc.
Wow.
Is it just disappearing? Is it coming back? What is going on?
So there's something going on with the Tic Tac that needs to be looked at. According to Dr. Greer, the Tic Tac is a military vessel, isn't it?
Yeah, he did say something like that once. I don't know. He didn't say, like, he thought it was, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I have it here. This was from March. Hold on, I don't want to mess this up. Okay. This is from March 13th, 2004. 6:38 p.m. This is the first receipt. I'll zoom in a sec to show the time. I don't know if you guys could see it.
Myke, can you zoom in on Lulu's screen
You see
for a
what it says?
moment?
6:33 p.m.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. And I wrote it because I organized them. I put the time anomaly. I put time stamped anomaly being at the same time, 2 different places. Okay. This is that one. And then this is the second one. That was at the gas station. This is Walmart. And the time stamped right here is 3/13/2004, but it's in the format of the 24-hour. It says 1833. Same time.
Oh, the military time, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you could see it. Hold on. Let me point to it. Right there. On the bottom.
Oh,
See it?
yeah.
How is that possible? And this is I have like 2 other ones with the same, like on different times. How can I be at the same, like in 2 different places at the same time? Explain that
The
to me.
only way that is possible, in my opinion, is if the time was wrong on one of the computers, but that doesn't make sense because the computers have to be hooked up to the internet.
Yeah.
To work.
Yeah, and it's like more, they're connected to credit card machines. They're connected to, like they can't mess with this because it then like, and
Right.
it's Walmart. Like Walmart is not in its shell. Like
Windows made it almost impossible to screw up your time, as long as you have it set and hooked up to the internet.
I'm telling you, like it's crazy. Like I cannot find an explanation to it. It sense. It doesn't make sense. Like how can I be on this place?
You went through some kind of time bubble or time.
I have another one.
Time shift.
Yeah, but it didn't happen just one time. It happened like 2 times. Yeah, 2 times this year. This one's from February.
In the 1950s, as waves of flying saucer sightings occurred throughout the
this was 214. Is it 214 also?
A man named T. Townsend Brown.
Yeah, it was February 14th.
Let's put our tinfoil thinking caps on for a minute and think to ourselves: could this be an effect of a side effect of somebody actually trying to manipulate time?
Yeah, I think so. Somebody's warping time.
I've heard of several people talking about like you're experiencing time dilation with once the like coils or plasma fields are like activated and stuff. And then there's also the gravity wells where there's lots of time dilation. Michael Boyd was starting to get into it, but then like tying it to like all of those arches and portals supposedly throughout America there around the Badlands and Arizona, like all over. Like it's crazy. Who knows?
Or aliens or
guys. Hopefully we'll see you there. Thanks so much for joining. If not,
yeah, I didn't know Tesla Tech was right around the corner. I might have to try to grab a ticket to that.
Yeah, boy, if you can make it to Albuquerque for Wednesday, get your butt out there.
No, I don't think I'll be able to make it in person.
Friday.
I'll definitely be able to do the live stream.
Online. I got you.
Story that needs to be told.
I wish I could do it in person. Honestly, I would if I could. I come out.
Canadian and American governments, please stop sending all our tax dollars to Ukraine and instead invest just a wee bit of it into getting geniuses like us to these invention conferences. So, come on, what the fuck?
I've been to that hotel. It's fun. I went to an event called Cosmos to the Stars, something like that.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. It was when Trump wanted to create a space, the Space Force. I got invited, so I went. And yeah.
By using high voltage.
That sounds fun. No, I got recruited by the Space Force. I didn't actually fill out the application though, but
no, I did, and I went, and I learned so many different.
In the 1950s,
met so many great people. Yeah, I mean, it felt weird. The whole the people there. I swear to God, I think there were shapeshifters. Some of them,
Yeah, just from maybe they're just from a different world entirely.
Shifting through them different dimensions. Right, the portals, I don't know.
Man, the weirdest things happen. You don't understand, like the things that nobody would like be like, how do you get yourself into this stuff? Yeah, I don't know, but
Can you still get? Do you still have the videos of the orbs, Lulu?
I do. Let's pull them up.
Oh, that's
Yes,
cool.
I got two thoughts on time manipulation, if you want to call it that, to give it a broad definition of what we think is being done to time, either traveling through it or viewing it or manipulating and changing it, all of the above. The only way you can manipulate time in any way, and even then, it's not even malleable, because even if the time was already occurred, all of time already happened, and it's been recorded, and now it's returning to the beginning to replay itself. There must be a cycle with time, a loop. It can't just, be an infinite outward non-existing loop. It has to be. It has to reflect sooner or later. Time.
It's not
the time
it's not
signal
an
has
infinity
to
of
see itself
direction.
sooner
It's
or
an
later.
infinity of duration.
Right. Let's say it's a signal. Let's say time is a signal wave. Then if it's an infinite signal wave, then it's going to be generated infinitely. Then it's going to spread itself throughout infinity. Eventually, it's if it's infinite signal wave, then it's going to surpass infinity. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And then what happens when it surpasses infinity? It has to, there has to be a barrier.
Back into its, yeah, right, exactly. Dimensional barriers and limits with them, and that
you can't have infinity
consciousness
go
is
up against
also-
infinity. There will be, you can't have infinity go up against
What if
infinity.
infinity looks at itself in the mirror, Myke? What happens then?
There's your reflection. There's the recording. Is it not a recording when you look in the mirror?
But
is that
it
not a
mirror
recording?
of infinity?
It's a real time. The mirror reflection is a real time recording.
Yeah.
So
it's time.
real time records infinity.
Words,
so
real time. See?
So in real
time
time,
is
you can have two infinities
totally
if you are a mirror.
malleable. When you are in an energy being, you can be part of the time cycle for sure.
My
obviously.
question is, since everything is happening all at the same time, and everything that ever happened or ever will happen has already happened.
That's just theory. That's in theory, though. We don't know that to be true.
Except for everything yet to come.
Right.
Let's say
based
it's not
on that
true.
theory, are we even able to change anything, even if we could travel back in time, for instance?
Well, that's why I say that we can. If
You'd only be traveling back
recorded,
in energy.
no,
and then
you
you
cannot
create
change
a new
anything.
physicality behind the original time in a new time.
You can't change the recording.
No, that's how you literally get like a fractal of time, like the Mandela effect is supposedly creating.
Right, you can't.
So you're creating a new fractured universe every time you would travel backwards.
Yeah, essentially a new branch within it, starting from that same spot, but further back along in actual time.
What do you say? You're creating it or finding it that it was finding something that was already there to begin with?
Well, you're just creating a new branch. You're
even if time is not a geometrical form, it is housed by one. Does that
make sense?
Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
Does that ring anything?
Yeah, no, that makes sense, and that's something that Malcolm actually describes too.
Actually, can we get back to playing a little bit of that plasmid unified theory? I'd like to get into that a bit more, like try and understand it a little.
Yeah, if you pull up my documentary Divine Science episode 1, I have a whole chapter on it that goes in depth of explains, the different categories of the plasma unification model and how they relate to each other.
Yeah. Do you mind doing that, Myke?
Can you present it, Ben?
Yeah, I got you. Give me 1 second. Actually, I'm gonna send you the link. Or because my bandwidth. Actually, no, I'll try to do it. If it gives me problems,
send me the link. Post the link.
Post the link in private chat. Myke can pull it up.
Okay.
And we're watching T. Brown's demos experiments right now, right?
In the private chat.
Towns
Yeah.
Brown.
Yeah.
In 1994, I looked at his
research began. In the 1950s, as waves of flying saucer sightings occurred throughout the United States, and while an infant space program was trying to catch up
That's
with
the thing.
Russian
It's like
launch
this
of
has been
Sputnik,
going on for
a man
generations.
named T.
That's what people
Townsend
need to
Brown,
understand. It's like
busy on
it's
experiments
not just like,
that
oh,
defied
we magically
conventional
came up with it
understanding
right
about
now. It's
electricity,
like, no, your
gravity,
grandpappy's been
Along
seeing
the
these and
doctor's
working
call,
on it.
Myke
And your shit like
and
great grandpappy's been working
Brown
and
took
seeing
high
it.
voltage
Like
to the next
we're several
extreme.
generations in to this technology
In
at this point.
rare home movie, the earliest experiments in electrogravitics are recorded.
Okay, here you go. I copied it at the current.
I
the
agree
correct
with that,
time, too.
Anthony. That's probably
By
a
using
good
high
one. There.
voltages over 20,000 and up to 200,000 volts, Brown
So again,
discovered
I'll
that
put it in the
highly
chat.
charged capacitors would exhibit a noticeable thrust in one direction. Although awarded a patent for his electrokinetic generator, no one has ever reproduced his experiment until recently. Larry Davenport, shown here demonstrating his replication of Brown's electrokinetic apparatus, explains.
But when I first began to read Brown's stuff, I didn't quite understand the difference between the ion wind devices, which there's a lot of them out there, and some of them are very efficient.
You get it, Myke?
Producing ion wind.
Is it in the private chat?
And his particular
Yeah.
apparatus.
Yeah, it
I
is.
finally decided to do Brown's work in 1994. I looked at his device. I'd tried several different things, and they hadn't worked. And I thought, well, Brown is supposed to be the pioneer of this, or so the people that make the claims and that get the patents, they always refer to his name. So I thought, I'll go back and I'll try to do this. Getting it balanced was real important.
His method of propulsion specifically was using the charge separation, high voltage charge separation on a vehicle. He found that circular craft were better for that application than winged craft. However, recently we found through Dr. Paul LaViolette's research that the B-2 bomber actually seems to qualify as an electrogravitic craft. The military has admitted that it electrically charges the forward leading edge of the wings. There's also a very high dielectric being used. Depleted uranium is used on the forward edge of the wings. And whether or not there are other applications for that technology and that design, we're recognizing that because the exhaust gas is also negatively ionized, that all of a sudden
You get it, Myke?
the
Yeah, it's
high voltage charge
downloaded.
separation that's necessary to
Oh, you're
provide
downloading
that
it? Okay.
propulsive force, especially
More stable that way.
So
Yeah, no, you're right.
electrogravity in that,
I'll have to
aspect
tell you what the
is a very simple
timestamp
process.
is.
Absolutely.
It does
Well done.
provide a good amount of force for a very small amount of energy.
So you're looking at
As with many other promising inventions developed
minute
during the Cold
50.
War years, the National Secrecy Act prevented
So
scientists
50
like
minutes
Townsend
in.
Brown from commercializing or even publicizing any technology which could potentially be interpreted as having a military application.
It's a long documentary. It's like an hour and a half long. I think I overdid it a little bit too much.
It was discovered the path of least resistance for both the programming language and it's on frequency.
50 minutes?
It's like having a
Yeah,
big-
50.
This
Yeah,
paradigm
that's too far.
works. Solution to the problem of unifying everything, taking
There we
into
go.
account the
Okay,
for
okay.
centuries, and societies have lost that ancient knowledge. A large
Yeah,
part
right
thanks
here.
to the externalities of capitalism and its tendency to exploit other countries. According to Malcolm, the plasmoid unification model offers a complex solution to the problem of unifying everything, taking into account the properties and relationships of crystal form, sound, color, time, and angles. This technology revolves around the ancient numerical patterns found in structures such as the pyramids and other architectural wonders. These numbers, when analyzed, reveal a fascinating relationship between various ancient civilizations and their architecture, as proven by pioneers like Randall Carlson. Geometry is integral to understanding the PUM, and plasmoids generate and store charge using the principles of sacred geometry. Malcolm's plasmoid diagram categorizes different aspects of the universe: ether, sun, matter, and time. When we understand the relationships between these four categories, we can begin to build a picture of how our universe actually works. Ether represents the underlying energy of our universe. It is DC energy at rest, as observed in Marco Rodin's vision. The source of the non-decaying spin of an electron, zero-point fluctuations in the vacuum. Ether can best be visualized by imagining the light paradox. The light paradox refers to a situation where all colors are present, yet there are no colors observed. Imagine you have a beam of light. If you take light going into a prism, you can see that light splits up into its frequencies and contains in itself all colors. This paradox arises when light contains a mixture of all possible colors. However, due to a phenomenon called color subtraction, when all colors are mixed together in equal amounts, they cancel each other out, and no colors are perceived. Instead of perceiving a mixture of colors, the result is a perceived absence of color, or white light. This paradox highlights the similarities between the ether, because ether contains within it all time, matter, and color, but this energy exists in a realm where there is no time, matter, or colors. Still confused? I don't blame you. Let's try another analogy. Imagine you have a magic toy box that can turn out any toy you can think of. How cool would that be? Now, this toy box is a bit magical because it can make all the toys appear and disappear instantly, just by thinking about it. But here's where things get tricky. Sometimes, you want to have all the toys in your toy box at the same time, right? It's like having a big party with all your favorite toys. However, the magic box can only hold one toy at a time. So, you can only play with one toy while the others are waiting in line. The ether paradox is kind of like having all toys and no toys at the same time. It can be a bit confusing, just like the paradox of having nothing and everything all at once. But sometimes, these kinds of paradoxes help us think about the deeper mysteries of the universe and how everything is connected. So this is the paradox, and this is what our society lost through ignoring sacred geometry.
CR connection.
By not learning the wisdom which was transmitted through ancient texts. Wisdom was enshrined in, for example, the Great Pyramids so we wouldn't lose it. It makes sense. What is the one thing that would be left after a global calamity? Giant megalithic structures made out of stone. The sun acts as an intermediary between the realm of ether and the realm of matter, facilitating the flow of energy and the emergence of physical existence. The sun has the ability to imprint frequencies onto the surrounding energy called ether, transforming it into matter. It could be speculated that the interactions and movements of energy within the ether could potentially align with the recurring pattern of the 3, 6, and 9. Furthermore, in this hypothetical connection, the sun could be envisioned as a focal point or generator of energy within the ether. The energy emissions and processes associated with the sun could be seen as one manifestation of the underlying energy flow or vibration identified in the 3-6-9 pattern observed by Marco Rodin. Putting on our vortex math lens, the sun can be seen as the number 9 or the source of this energy at rest. Then we have time. Time is seen as the mold that shapes matter, with different dimensions, both 4D and 3D, playing a role in this process.
So the sun kind of acts as an imprinting
Malcolm
device
makes
for
an
frequency
analogy of
to create
transitioning
matter.
from the sun to matter. This transition necessitates the involvement of time as a crucial element. Malcolm explains this transition by likening it to converting direct current into alternating current, which involves adding timing or time as a factor. However, traditional methods of conversion results in a loss of energy. All matter inherently possesses frequency characteristics, with time and the sun playing important roles in shaping and transforming energy into tangible matter. Malcolm argues that since time is mutable and can be reversed or sped up, light, which travels at a constant speed, serves as a reference point for proving that matter is fundamentally based on frequency in relation to time. That's where matter comes from, the interaction of frequency and time. Ether is a concept that represents the underlying fabric or essence of the universe. It symbolizes the infinite, formless, and all-pervading energy beyond physical matter. In sacred geometry, it is often associated with the concept of universal consciousness, or from the unmanifested potential from which everything arises. In summary, Malcolm's plasmoid unification model posits that all matter inherently possesses frequency characteristics, and time and the sun play important roles in shaping and transforming energy into tangible matter. Diving into the unification model's ancient connections starts by highlighting the number
Okay, yeah, now they're going into
432,
the ancient
which is
connections
believed to be a
chapter.
universal
that's
constant
the
and
chapter on
resonant
the
frequency
PUM.
found in various phenomena and ancient civilizations. Bendel suggests that 432 represents the number of protons, or electrons, required to form a plasmoid. This implies that plasmoids, which are key energy sources in the PUM, resonate at this frequency, indicating a profound connection between energy, matter, and the universe's design. Regarding Malcolm's practical application for the PUM, he calls it the molten sea arc atomic reconstruction technology. This type of cold fusion technology allows for atomic reactions at manageable temperatures and without any toxic byproducts. The molten sea arc refers to Solomon's molten sea, which he believes was the last known plasmoid generator used in history for storing and generating electrical charges. Unlike its well-known counterpart, the Ark of the Covenant, the molten sea arc was a massive basin, described as being 10 cubits in diameter, 5 cubits in height, and having a decorative rim in the form of flower petals. It rested on 12 bronze oxen, 3 facing each cardinal direction. This would have made the diameter about 15 feet. The connection between the molten sea arc and the Ark of the Covenant is not direct, as historically they served different purposes in Solomon's temple. The Ark of the Covenant was a sacred chest that contained the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments and was seen as the symbolic presence of God. It was placed in the innermost part of the temple known as the Holy of Holies, while historically the molten sea basin was placed in the outer courtyard. Malcolm believes that same technology behind the phenomenon known as MSART was utilized in the molten sea arc. Plasmoids are atomic batteries that store energy through their specific geometric shapes. He believes that, based on the descriptions of the arc, they were utilizing sacred geometric principles to produce free energy. Malcolm suggests that plasmoids generated through an imploded bubble are safe and can be used to store massive amounts of energy. It is estimated that up to 1 kilowatt of power can be stored within clusters of plasmoids that reach their maximum charge density. These plasmoids can effectively store and discharge energy in a controlled manner. His theory also suggests that the molten sea acted as the charger for these plasmoids, and the Ark of the Covenant was a capacitor that had the ability to hold those plasmoids. This is why it's called the molten sea, an entire sea of energy within one 10-cubit basin. It utilizes water in the same way Malcolm's generator does, as fuel. Bendel also mentions the importance of the numbers 27 and 9 in relation to the Sun, Moon, and Earth. He suggests that the Sun and Moon exhibit a harmonic resonance with the Earth based on these numbers. The Earth's mean orbital radius is approximately 27 times the Moon's mean orbital radius, and the Earth's mean rotation period is approximately 27 times the Moon's mean orbital period. The number 9 appears because 27 is divisible by 9.
What does it all mean,
highlighting a
man?
harmonious relationship between these celestial bodies.
Little pun there.
Well,
These numerical relationships proposed by Bendel aim to demonstrate the
entire
intricate
picture?
and intelligent design present
I
in the
mean,
universe and its connection
that's
to the
up to
plasmoid
interpretation, I guess,
unification
Intelligent
right?
design is what it all
By
means.
exploring the
I'm
numerical
guessing.
patterns and relationships,
That's what I believe.
Malcolm seeks to
That's
gain
my
a deeper
personal
understanding
theory.
of the fundamental
I
principles
think that's
that
what it
govern
points
energy,
to.
matter, and
And then when you see it like I do, and I think you do, Bernie, I think you can't unsee it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like there's a God code of or creation code in there. And the
Yeah,
ancients definitely
it's
knew it.
literally a I call it a polarized programming language.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think it was catchy. It was a nice line, I think. But yeah, no, this is my baby right here. This docu-series. I love working on divine
We gotta
science.
keep
It's
listening to this. This is good because a lot of it goes along with my own research. So got me intrigued here.
Yeah.
And that implosive technologies are intelligent.
Right, oxygen as exhaust, and it goes back into the system. That's how your getting a bit of the overunity, you're feeding the fuel back into itself, or you're feeding
There's two
exhaust back in as fuel.
There's two things there I found out. It's not technically an overunity system. It's just really highly efficient HHO.
Well, yeah,
It can
highly
be.
efficient, highly efficient. Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
it can be, but it's being detuned on purpose so it doesn't like destroy itself. And then also there was a little mistake in that. It said it needed gas only for the start of the engine, but that's not true. It actually needs 10% carbon to run in general. So it does need at least 10% carbon.
The fuel for the reaction to take place properly.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's just like something that I put out early on in my research, and I had to do an addendum to that because there's so much information here. I had to sort. It took me a long time to sort through it all.
No, absolutely. You're doing a great job, man. We're all just trying to figure it out together here.
Right. And I think I'm starting to understand a little bit, but the PUM is so complicated. It's like vortex math, It's,
so yeah, this right
rabbit
here, the
hole.
magic squares, that book on the magic squares, it explains, it's the coding of all of what was just shown there.
Really?
Yes, and it's also like alchemical cipher and Masonic cipher with language and stuff. It's nuts. Magic squares are nuts.
I knew it had to play into vortex math in some way.
That's like that's one of the little god codes is magic squares.
Huh. That's cool.
I can't find it. As if somebody deleted it from my phone, but I know I have a backup on an old phone. Like I'll have to transfer it and I'll email it to you.
Appreciate that.
Oh, the spheres or the
But I'm
That's
telling
crazy.
you, somebody's
It's
messing with my
expunged,
phone. Like they're deleting things. Like I've sent so much things to Jeremiah.
Yeah, I know. He said, really?
All of it is gone.
Really? I'm gonna have to see if he still has copies. Hopefully, if like that's wild.
Yeah, I sent him.
It's legit when it gets expunged.
I'm
That's
telling
all
you.
there is to it.
Yeah, but what they don't know is that I have an old phone that I, just drop in it and then I turn it off so they don't have they don't have time.
Just always have a backup. That's what I learned the hard way.
Yeah, but really I've sent him a lot of cool things and it's all gone. So I have to find it from my old phones. I sent that video to NASA. No response.
The response was it gets expunged.
No response.
They put you on a list. That's the response.
The funny thing
yes,
is that
Taryn
actually,
Earthling, absolutely, this is why nuclear decay rates
actually
change.
the funny thing, they invited me and I went to one of their I don't know, they had their vendors and they showed me material that they were using for outside of the spacecrafts, what they use, like the shielding material. Yeah, and I got a bunch of like cards and a bunch of people talk to me and they're like, if you're interested, if you, because I have a company and that's, when I signed up originally with them, I signed up as a company. And so I played it all automatically. I get an invite. I told Tim once, I'm like, I get a lot of invites from NASA, but I don't like going by myself, because I just don't, And
it's seeing ultraviolet light in the ionizing chamber. Interesting.
Yeah, so it's just basically like UV lights that you get off the shelf at a pet store.
Really, that easy? I like this, but the crucial part is the UV light able to ionize it. Because once it's ionized,
and
it's in plasma state.
Well, no, it's
essentially.
It's
preconditioned
for the it's preconditioned. So as soon as the cavitation happens, these are more likely to form the plasmoid structures. But yeah, no, it is highly ionized gas. I'm sure there's a little bit of microscopic plasma unstructured forming in there as well,
which is self-sustaining due to its toroidal geometry.
Right? Like there's the ability to scale it up in.
But the point is that these this happens in nature. The sun imprints the frequency onto the air. Yeah, and this is how nature utilizes the vacuum energy to create massive thunderstorms.
And hydrogen. When these plasmoids
And you know, I
Absolutely.
think a lot of
That's
these,
why
I
it's
think a lot of
taking
these
some of
scientists,
it
like,
out of
yeah, I
space,
think,
or the what they call the vacuum, but is not the vacuum. It's actually essentially the ether
it's
space.
counter space is what it is.
Yeah,
Counter
counter space. Yeah, of
but I think a lot of these inventors knew that. You know, I think a lot of these inventors looked at, you know, nature and was like, yeah, this is what nature's doing.
So see all them numbered squares in there? That's what we're talking about with the magic squares, being able
The
to
magic
code all of that,
squares.
and then you're coding the
Oh, so
field
he
and
just
the
didn't
energy
have
through it.
he just didn't have the big picture of it being in the shape of a torus.
Well, Searle did.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, that's what the
He
book's
envisioned this
about.
the law of square, because I've never read his law of squares. I've never been able to find it.
Not too many have. Like the APEC presentation, they're saying it got bought out by the government, so nobody could get it. And or not APEC, sorry, Russell Anderson there was talking about that. My bad.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I'd like to learn more about that and how it relates.
These spheres utilize sacred geometric principles. The ice-cold plasmoids and burning hot exhaust collide.
Looks like a magic rod or something there. Eh? Interesting.
Yeah, I plan on doing an episode on Searle eventually. That's carbon?
It's carbon 60.
That is a hedron.
Yeah.
You said carbon 60?
It's a nanotube.
Yeah, it's a nanostructure, right? And this is where the platonic solids get so important into this, is that you, depending on what harmonic octave your chemical compound lays on, or your fractal, then you use whatever geometry, whether it's this. So carbon's obviously on the 60 on the hedron, then you've got the well, the rest of them, the smaller, the triangle, and the more complex with the 7, 8, 9 on them. Anyways.
Continuing. So, yeah. That's the hedron shape there. I don't know how many sides it has.
60 or 64, something like that, I think. That's why it's C60, I believe.
Yeah, that's the honeycomb shape, right? So that shape, the honeycomb shape, is supposed to be part of the what was his name? The guy who wrote Shape Power. He was talking about the honeycomb shape and how bees utilize it. I'm gonna see if I can find that. That was really interesting. He's talking
about. Can we play some more of that?
Like this?
I think so. Or is that one dodecahedron?
I don't have 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I think you got it. Like Buckminster Fuller, was that who you're talking about with the buckyball?
Oh, here you go. Dan, his name is Dan Davidson. I'm gonna put a video in the private chat.
There we go. Tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, iconahedron, and then the next one was the.
Does it have 5 or 6 sides?
Like, that one I think is 8. No.
Hedron's not in here. Gotta look it up. Well, yeah, the hedron is the carbon geometry of a carbon molecule.
Exactly. The carbon.
Regarding the thunderstorm needing the carbon.
Yeah.
With the water. The H2O and the carbon. And the carbon deposits, those geometries are what's depositing on Kesh coils.
Yes, sir. The nanocoating.
I mean, I'm just making a slightly educated guess there. I don't want to put myself too far out of the limb, but it sounds like the catch coil is got it's carbon nanocarbon on the catch coil. So we all know that. So
The dodecahedron kind of looks like a snowflake in the bottom.
It does. And the cube kind of looks like a cross.
It does, yeah. That's interesting. I never put that connection together there with the cube and the cross. Huh.
The cube and the cross.
Like when you fold out when you fold out a cube, it just makes a cross. So it's just very simple geometry, but it's a simple geometric fact.
Well, Keshe says CO2 GAN, so it's carbon with 2 oxygen that he says you're coating the coils with.
Carbon with 2 oxygens.
Symbolism.
CO2. Yeah.
Like the cube is a box, and then it turns into a cross. And you've got like the Mecca, the Kaaba, the black square, and then a cross. Think about it.
You got it, and that plays into the ciphers as well as that magic square, mathematic coding of it all, as well as when you get into the real esoteric and occult, like spell casting of the witches and the alchemists and all of that, and it's pretty intense. It's like,
yeah. Do you know the theory? Because Malcolm was describing how essentially you can, if you are practiced, if you're practiced in the art of meditation and focus, you can focus plasmoids with specific, like hand forms and stuff. You can focus plasmoids into the tips of your fingers and have different effects.
like
So
chi
I'm wondering,
and yoga, essentially.
Exactly. And in the different hand forms and different shapes that you produce with your hands and in different movements with your body, you can essentially kind of, I think, create bubble cavitation in the air.
All right, so we're going to be the bubble cavitation plasma Jedis, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. And that's the ongoing theory, is that some of these unexplained phenomenon that, Buddhist monks seem to be able to levitate themselves.
Yes,
they're just,
King Guang, right? Is that how you say it? Am I butchering it? Kwai-jong,
Negong?
Qigong? Yeah, right? I'm butchering.
You talking about the martial arts thing?
But it's like focusing the plasmids. It's like focusing the chi.
Tai Chi?
Chi, right? That Qigong. That's Qigong, Negong.
Oh,
Qigong. There we go.
Oh.
Jeez. Qigong. Yeah, there.
It's a martial arts thing, though.
But it's focusing the plasmids.
It is,
right, and there's a like sitting in a specific position, it helps focus those plasmoids theoretically into a point,
Then you use to take your consciousness out of body and meditate with, right?
Or
for meditation into
Qigong is external energy, Negong is internal. It's inside, like focusing inside.
Oh, I see.
And there's like exercises, Negong exercises that are really simple to do, but they really do wear you down if you don't have the energy, focused. You're going to get worn down quick by doing these exercises, because they kind of they tune you back in. It's a very simple exercise. You basically stand straight and touch your toes 3 times, but first time you touch your toes, you don't bend your legs either. You touch your toes, you bounce down, touch your toes.
Each platonic solid shape has its own musical chord. This I need to look into, and that would be a huge part of the octave scale, and tying into what Terrence Howard was getting into with Walter Russell's periodic tables with octave scaling, and
what you can calculate the resonant frequency of it. You can calculate the resonant frequency of any shape by just
do.
Adding up all the angles. So if you add up all the angles here, you can calculate the shapes of resonant frequency if it was a three-dimensional shape.
Yeah, I don't even know how many
It-
sides
That
the
gets
Hagon
back
has.
to the
Light,
beginning where you're
no
showing
rain.
the Chix waves on the oscilloscope and then bringing it back into that man. Can we play more of that?
Yeah, you want
Fascinating.
me to play more of what's her name? Sheila? I'm trying to remember her
Yeah.
last name. Let me look it up real quick because I'm pretty sure I can Google it.
And photonic resonance, sonic geometry, and photonic resonance. Let's get into that a bit.
Dudes, here it's thundering and lightning, but there's no rain. None.
Here, it's pretty close to the same. We got a little bit of rain, but yeah, mostly
But
just thunder and
it's
lightning.
like thundering and lightning, but zero rain. This is weird. Look at that. Thunder and lightning, zero rain.
That's sheet lightning, and that is how you,
voltages over
when it hits, you get
1,000
forest
to
fires
200,000
like no other.
Brown discovered that highly charged capacitors would exhibit a noticeable thrust in one direction.
Yeah, where did we leave off?
Although awarded a patent
Oh,
for
there we
his
go.
electrokinetic generator, no one has ever reproduced his experiment until recently. Larry Davenport, shown here demonstrating his replication of Brown's electrokinetic apparatus, explains.
But when I first began to read Brown's stuff, I didn't quite understand the difference between the ion wind devices, which there's a lot of them out there, and some of them are very efficient as far as producing ion wind, and his particular apparatus. I finally decided to do Brown's work in 1994. I looked at his device. I'd tried several different things, and they hadn't worked, and I thought, well, Brown is supposed to be the pioneer of this, or so the people that make the claims and that get the patents, they always refer to his name. So I thought, I'll go back and I'll try to do this.
Is that it there?
Yep. So I'm gonna play it right now. Let me hit play.
That is my current research, and yeah, so this is the last one. So future research for all you out there. These are just some ideas for people. How can different frequencies and sonic geometries be used to synthesize different elements? So that's a question for Bob Greenyer. How do sonic geometries build new neural networks? How can sonic geometries be used as antennas for telepathic communication? How can various frequencies and sonic geometry sequences be used to restructure water? How can various sonic geometries
That's what Bernie's doing, right? Essentially with the electrolysis.
Wind rain. Will projections of sonic geometries on the body
Yeah, you got it.
restructure our cells? Can visualization practices synchronize our consciousness to certain primal archetypal energies encoded?
You said what, Bernie?
Freezing. Can you hear me? Can you
Oh,
hear
yeah,
me?
yeah.
It's freezing.
Yeah, yes.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry, yeah, you got it. Like, that's exactly what I've been thinking for years since started experimenting.
We can't hear you now. There's no sound.
He froze. I hate when that happens. My computer was doing that.
Oh, there you go. Can you hear me now?
There we go.
Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. What I was saying is, since the beginning, I got into this stuff, was thinking exactly along these lines. And once the metals are into this pink crystalline transmutational state that Isaac Newton talks about in the electrolysis, when you're putting in the right resonant frequency of the matter element that you want to transmutate the metal into, because you already have through the electrolysis the atomic hydrogen that can then just easily break down from that wave and then break into or join into that structured frequency that you're putting in, that is the atomic mass of the new element being imprinted into that crystalline metal as it retakes shape into the solid state element finishing transmutation.
Wow.
If that makes sense.
It does, but it's a lot to digest, I'm not going to lie.
Well, by electrolysis, he's breaking up the solid metals to begin with, you know, your regular zinc
Right.
or whatever, and it gets turned into this, like, you know, powder at the bottom, you know, like it looks like a cloud at first, and then but when you know, it gets, the electrolysis breaks down the metals into like nanoparticles, you know, like
as
small particles.
well as the water and the hydrogen and these different forms of hydrogen, being heavy water and all the different isotopes of hydrogens and Brown's gases and all of it. And then if you get a plasma arc going between, or electrical arc between your in the water solution electrolyte between the anode and cathode with that specific resonant frequency going on, I'm pretty sure you'll be very easily creating whatever matter of those specific geometric full frequencies you're putting in, right?
Right, whatever frequency, whatever element you're matching the frequency of.
Yeah, the resonant.
Yeah, because of the somatic
exactly.
forms. You know, the somatic. When you do somatics with sound waves, those are also frequencies. They're in the lower range of frequencies. They're not in the higher range like light, but they also make shapes. You know, and if you were to use lower frequencies, those particular shapes may form amongst the materials broken down by the electrolysis. Once they reform, you know, once you break it down into powder and all that, and they turn into like very small particles, and if you still send the low frequency sound waves, like somatic waves, into them, they should matrix themselves into those you know, shapes, just like the sand does on the Chidaldi plate. You know, in water too. It doesn't matter if it's in air, water, or in you know.
Yeah, and Sheila talks about different mediums for
like the ice
as
cube,
well.
for instance, that BurnEye created.
I think BurnEye just dropped. He froze. He might have dropped off.
Those sound waves were being emitted through the material that he generated, the electrolysis.
Yeah, it's like I said. Yeah, it's like I said the other day. He's taking a slice of time. You know, he's pushing a wave through the water, and he's literally freezing time, and you can see that frozen wave pattern in the ice. It's incredible.
Very, very accurately separated waves in the ice.
Yeah, in all the ice cubes that he shows, all the waveforms are they at least they appear to be exactly the same wavelength, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I don't think it's a radio station nearby. I mean,
no, but it's interesting. I honestly don't know enough about electrolysis or electrochemistry or chemistry in general for that matter. But
he does this thing called GANS, GANS, and it's like the same kind of concept as making ormus, you know, kind of. And you use, you know, low voltage, and or no voltage. You could just connect the two metals together with a piece of copper, like you said. You connect them with a conductor, and you have zinc, and let's say a piece of carbon inside of a tub of salt water, or even distilled water, or whatever kind of water, and then the two metals, they have slightly different potentials, so they'll establish a flow inside the liquid solution, a current flow, and that current flow will establish a voltage and perform, you know, powerless. You know, in other words, you don't need to supply power. It will perform electrolysis on its own, kind of like the Stubblefield coil. You know, iron and copper. They electrolyze each other, and they basically they break down each other the iron and the copper break each other down naturally.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I've been studying electrical energy and kinetic energy for a while, but chemical energy is something that I really need to refresh up on. And there's a lot of amazing stuff there that, quite frankly, I'm in the dark about. So,
well, they don't break them. The iron and the copper doesn't break down, by being iron and copper. They break down by having different potentials electrically, and the potentials have to balance. It's just the law of physics.
right? Nature wants to balance itself. Anything that's out of balance, it strives for equilibrium. Did you want me to play more of Sheila? Because I'm probably gonna end the stream maybe in like 10-15 minutes. But did you want me to play more of Sheila in her conference?
There you go.
Yeah, I can play a little bit more of her, and then I'll probably. I mean, you guys can continue, but I'll probably be ending the stream and going to bed soon.
Yeah, I gotta head out and get something to eat and crash too.
Yeah, we forget we spend so many long sessions on these streams. We forget to eat and stuff. So,
and to make it the golden arches.
I had pizza.
Pizza. Yeah, I had some pizza a little earlier. Thank God I remembered to eat.
If it was just me, like I would forget about food, but I've got little ones, so
Right? Yeah, you got other people to consider. No, I get that. Yeah, sometimes you forget, but when you got somebody else you're thinking about,
So yeah, the copper probably has like a 1.5 or 1.2 volt or 0.9 volt, and the zinc may have like a different voltage. If it's just slightly different, there's going to be a transfer going on between the two metals.
And we form energy circuits with conscious focus by
And
concentrating
at the bottom of the
an
metals,
point of light and
where the
tracing it
bottom
from
of the
each closed
container where the
circuit
water
like a
is, they
labyrinth.
start decomposing there
And how
first
can these geometries
into like
be
a
used in conjunction with free energy perpetual movement devices?
usually a white
So,
powdery substance. The zinc especially.
and I'm gonna go into some.
Oh, that's her name.
demonstrations
Okay,
now.
I got it. Her name is Sheila Raman. So I'm gonna put that in the chat because I know Tammy was wondering, and she spells her name with 2 E's in Sheila. So Sheila.
Oh.
Yeah, her mic is kind of low, so I'm trying to
with me.
do my
This
best
is
here
my
with the
email
audio.
address. I don't really have a website or anything right now, but just send me an email. And I'm a musician too, and that's my artist name. I make techno. Alrighty, so we're gonna
When he's
start
on the
off.
Wi-Fi.
And oh yeah, sorry.
I think Bernie's back, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
so my other computer's like trying to restart after freezing, and it's saying like dealing with preparing security options, like straight hacked and crashed when I talk about that shit every time.
Wow. Like not.
You got antivirus installed on there or something like that? That'll pop up all the
Oh
kinds of
yeah,
notifications.
I update that shit. It's like, no, there's something else going on, man.
No, I don't even. Those antivirus programs are what doing all those notifications, all that stuff.
Oh no, nothing like that. Like just my computer, everything just froze. It always does that in the stream anytime I start talking about certain things with the electrolysis and transmutation.
It's probably like trigger words that are coded into the hard drive.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. There's some kind of triggering mechanism with flags,
Probably. Yeah. Oh, you can't say no. I'm not gonna say it. Then have this
Hey,
computer go down too.
we need code words. We need to speak in code. Exotic matter, Taryn. What's up, Taryn? How you doing, man?
Right, shout out Sean, Taryn, everything. Good stuff.
MIB.
Men in
Yeah.
Black. Yeah,
William.
Men in Black is watching.
Oh, they's always watching.
Oh, let me
playing music in Berlin, Germany. So if you Google Zosar, there's millions of search results. Techno, house, industrial, experimental, ambient.
Techno house. All right, let's dance on that long.
I have yet to actually listen to her music, but I plan on doing it at some point, and I'll let you know if it's any good.
Into is the actual demonstration.
I actually,
frequencies.
You said what?
I love techno.
Yeah,
model.
I love techno too, and I used to make
And
music,
again,
but
just
I
wanted
wasn't
to
very good at it, so I
emphasize
stopped.
my whole journey
All the good techno, you can't use it though. It's like copyrighted.
Yeah, we're gonna be making some uncopyrighted music that heals soon with the science of sound and
like the original techno from the 90s and the
gotta
early
pump some
2000s.
techno, some EDM, some DMB with
Yeah,
the
keep me updated with
430p
that.
and the
I'm all about
solfeggio.
the techno and the trance. I love trance music.
I focus way better.
I can't do the trance. For me, it's a no-go. Trance
If you like techno, check
You
out.
like the high energy?
Yeah.
Indeed.
Check out Square Pusher.
Okay.
He's a bass player that makes his drums on the computer and very good stuff. It's techno, like fast drum and beat, bass and drums, kind of like, and good, really good, chord changes and stuff.
Lately, I've been watching classical music infused with techno. It's so good.
What's the artist called? Do you remember?
Fine.
It's called Sandstorm.
Sandstorm.
Oh man.
Ben, you gonna play that or what?
I'm trying to find it.
Oh yeah, my bad.
I started cracking the code and converting the plasmoid unification model frequencies into a tuning system. My mind was blown.
Okay, this I need to rewatch like 5 times.
I found a system that had 32 frequencies. 32 is the number of notes in each line. I was blown away because all 32 frequencies could be playing simultaneously, and it would incur a stable, unmoving, still standing wave of a geometry.
I was going to say the same thing.
So 32 frequencies creates a stable standing wave.
That's totally accurate too, by the way, from a technical point of view.
playable tuning system.
You can ask Anthony too.
Yeah, elaborate a little bit, Mike, because that's interesting. And I'd like
well,
to
because you have all the, if you have 32 key frequencies, these are like 32 resonant frequencies, like the kind of frequencies that operate the growth of seashells and flowers and whatever it is.
Oh yeah, like the phi ratio.
These frequencies, right? If you have them all being transmitted at the same time, they're going to create a balance from all angles, kind of,
Right. Oh yeah, because they're interfering with each other, but the interference
It gives you a
creating
standing
a stable
wave,
Well,
which
think
then
more
gives
like
you the
each
ability to either stand with creating mass or to break through time space. Is that
No. Think of each key of the 32 frequencies as a geometry, and when they all fit together perfectly, they the waves
you
that they
saw it.
create don't dissipate or go anywhere. They stay in
Oh,
one place.
it's a stable weight.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
They
that makes
all
sense.
contain each
Right.
other.
I
Help
got
each
you. I
Right.
other.
got
So
you now.
instead of like a dissipating pulse, you have like a
So
circle that
that's
just
what that you're
dissipates.
then
Yeah, yeah. All the
putting like the
geometries are being put
hydrogen
together into
around that
one shape.
wave and then turning it into I see. That's what you're basing it on. Okay,
You got 32 waves, 32 geometries being placed together into one space. In other words, this 32 shapes where if you put an apple on the table and you
I'm
add
getting you,
another
Myke.
31 shapes to the space where that apple is sitting, now you're going to have a shape that looks like the apple plus the 31 shapes. So that's the kind of analogy for what the frequencies are doing when they're being transmitted all together at the same time. They're creating all the shapes at the same time. And
But then they're able to stay there on their own afterwards too, right? Or something like that.
well, I mean, if they're focused in the same direction, they're all going to, create a containing field for any whatever frequency. You kind of imagine that they're going to work together because they're all geometrical shapes that are like key shapes. They're not just some off kilter shape. They're like the
They're
actual
interlocked
shape.
into a full volume geometry.
Yeah, they're key shapes. So because you look at all the cells, they also have these shapes. The same shapes. The same, all these key
Full
geometries.
volume
I'm not good with geometry and the names of them all, but you know what I'm talking about. All those geometrical shapes in the book, they can be found in all the cells everywhere you look in the cellular level and the cell level. Those same geometries are there in the cell level.
Yeah. It's part of that theory of everything God code scaling aspect.
They have to get there through some signal on the coming from the outward bound to the inward to where the cell is to give it that geometry. So there's your key frequencies. Yeah, I don't know. I don't lean more on the particle thing. More, I'm on the signal side. It's all matterless creation from sound waves or just signal waves.
Yeah,
not needing
Terran
matter.
Earthlings comments. Pretty good there. The plasmids are like the omega coherent particles that macroscopic. 100%. That's form the geometry for that. To break through the Coulomb or the Casimir Coulomb barrier.
I wouldn't be surprised if these plasmoids also have, all of these shapes, triangle, square, polygon, hexagon, octagon, whatever it is.
Yeah, they do. Plasmoids embody all forms of sacred geometry, according to Malcolm. So, and you can see in different. You said what?
I'm just putting it all together in my mind.
Oh yeah. So
yeah,
no,
see,
you
what
establishes
those shapes though is the cymatic frequencies.
Yeah, I think you're right, and then how they come
You
together
pump
and
those cymatic frequencies into the plasmids, and then you get out the other.
So you have plasmoids in a jar next to those ice cubes, generating cymatic frequencies.
But is that frequency driving?
That's what the GANs is.
Right.
Plasma.
Yeah, the GANs would assemble into those, right? You'd pump it into that
technically,
stuff.
GANs is plasma, so it should generate, signal waves of the cymatic range, because they're plasmas.
And
Plasma is not going to form unless it's, in the right
line 8
frequency.
through 23.
Right.
The reason I started at line 8 because if you look up here,
it's very hard to get plasma not to form. In fact,
the earlier lines don't have any numerical values.
Incredible what that stuff does.
Except these, which only have 1. But
see, that's what I'm saying. Like she organized it a little bit better.
I went through each one of these lines one by one.
Bernie, I did GANs for like a couple months.
List of numbers.
It's a lot of work.
And then I took each one of the numbers. I converted it into
jars
a sine tone. So this number 648, for example,
But it was amazing.
My life.
could be converted into a sine tone using a sine tone generator. And just to briefly mention,
I didn't think the
work with
metals would
sine
break
tones
apart without
because
giving
they
it power,
help
but
us
they
to
did. They really
uncover
did.
tonal relationships from
It's
very
insane, hey?
low and
How they just
clear
break down like that.
Hmm I
But
tried salt
when you
water and
start
fresh
working
water
with
did it
square
too.
waves,
Bernie, if
you
you're
start working
interested
with
in
Yep.
triangle
watching
waves
this
and sawtooth
conference
waves,
in full, I can
then
send
you
you a
will
copy
get
if you
different
want.
types
Yes,
of
please do.
that apply to
Yeah,
different
I
types
just
of
have to find.
energy
If I
systems.
Yeah,
don't
'cause
have
we
the
got to
copy,
go
I'll have to
soon.
do it.
We'll shut her down, but if you could send me a link to that, I would love to watch this tonight.
Sawtooth, triangle,
I might have to
square,
re-record
and
it. I'll see if I
sine.
can find. So what I did,
And you
because
could
this
even use
conference
one type of
is a pay for conference, so I took video clips of it. If I can get those online to
Fair
you,
enough.
I will. Yeah.
Appreciate
So yeah, no problem. I wish I could send you a direct link, but unfortunately, if you want to go to the Cosmic Summit website, they probably will charge you for the.
I think I actually have a link. I need to just figure it out, and I'm gonna try that first.
Okay, yeah. So if you need it, just let me know, and then
I'll see if it works. I did register, so it should actually hopefully still work.
yeah, if you registered, you should have the on-demand feature, I think.
Perfect. All right.
This
Very
is
nice.
yeah, and this is very nice.
If
This is
anybody's seen the cymatic thing occur, that's for me. That was an eye opener, a door opener, big one.
Right?
Yeah.
Big time.
When I saw this this presentation here, I was shocked, and this is like the first. Like, this is before Malcolm started speaking about all this crazy stuff.
Well, I'm glad this is an opener for that, because it gives it some good pretense, and it's like
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Malcolm, yeah, before like Sheila wasn't scheduled to be in the conference until very recently. So like before, Malcolm didn't have this proof of his PUM actually, working, right? And then she just shows up at the conference and has this amazing evidence that just supports his plasmoid unification model.
And it's literally the missing link in what I believe
Right.
my transmutation
Called the law of
electrolysis stuff too. So
yeah,
I'm loving it, and I'm gonna be watching this tonight.
I mean, Birdie,
and am I saying it's perfect? It might be flawed in some way. It might not be perfect, but it might not even be a picture perfect, accurate representation of our universe. But it's a close enough parable, I guess, what he would refer to it as. It gives us a good story
It's
of how
a
to put together.
It's a complete dimensional fractal of the universe and the working universe.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, we can take a lot of good things out of this, and it might not be entirely accurate. Who knows? I haven't studied it extensively, but everything we see so far, it's
the whole point is that we then peer review it by taking the information, applying it, and seeing if we get the same results. That's what real science is.
That's exactly why I'm gonna when I get my oscilloscope, I'm gonna hook up like she has the rodent coil doing this. I'm gonna go through these lines myself and recreate her experiment, and I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Bernie, with the you should ever try playing
Not just a lot of fun. That's going to develop the science if we're able to reproduce that and then start applying it into these.
Oh yeah. Oh, just so you know, this one is Malcolm Bendel and his team. This isn't his. So he has two different. There was 2 different days for the conference. This is the second day, I believe. Is this the second day? No.
Okay,
this is the day.
Start of the second day.
No. I'm sorry. This is the first day. So this is Malcolm Bendel and his team. This is where he goes over the thunderstorm generator. So it's kind of confusing because it's all linked in one. Like they have all 3 or 4 speakers in this one entire stream, and it's not really broken up. You kind of have to seek for it and search for it. If you know what I mean, like it's not organized that well.
Like an APEC, I got it. It's the original recordings of the day.
But it's all like honestly, all of these speakers that I saw were amazing. Like I saw Jordan Collin, he had a great presentation. I saw Bob Grenier, he had an amazing presentation. Malcolm's presentation is great if you want to look at that one in full. I recommend
Yeah,
it.
Bob Greenier's was just next level. He published it on his website or on his YouTube channel like about a week ago. I've been meaning to do a watch party of it on my channel, and we should actually plan that together, do a multi-stream with that sometime next week for sure.
Yeah, and I'd like to get because I'd like to get Bob on the live stream if possible. I know he's busy and stuff, but you know, we'll keep on sending him invites and see if he shows up one of these times. Because I'd like
to schedule Bob again. I'll email him and I'll get something lined up with Bob.
Yeah, it was really cool that he showed up for the premiere tonight. I was really happy about that.
This is what's happening inside the thunderstorm generator, because it's generating frequencies, and whatever's inside there is going to take these geometries.
Yeah, and this is exactly what I want to do with the rodent coil. I want to do a proper cymatics test like this. The one I did was not very good.
I was going to say, Bernie, you should try playing a little speaker next to one of the jars with the GANs metal, whatever metal you're using, and just put
and you can do this
432 like pure tone playing at it, or one of the keys.
Yeah, that's literally one of the first experiments with the music and speakers I've been meaning and wanting to do for a while. I got to get to
like
that.
the jar on top of the speaker, playing right from the bottom up,
Sheila was talking about using also different materials too for the test, like other than like ionized salt and all that.
Yeah, I've also been wanting to do that.
I forget. She mentions a couple of specific different materials people have been using in the conference.
Amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. But that's basically if you think about it, if you're imprinting a frequency into the air using the pre-ionization chamber, this is basically what you're doing. You're shaping,
Look at that, though. That's just like, how is that possible, dude? This
exactly. It's shaping, and then then you crystallize it, and then from the crystal.
That's what's happening. It's crystallizing and then solidifying, so it stays there.
The sound waves have this shape in the air. You can't see it, but that's the shape the sound waves have.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Imagine if this was a clear box, like just a box, but we could and it vacuum sealed, and this thing takes like a 3D image, like shape inside of this vacuum sealed. Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
sides, all the sides.
This is such a simple test, but I think it tells a lot about how our universe actually operates. This right here.
Right, so it's like that's the next step is I need to start putting these frequencies into my anodes and cathodes directly.
Dude, look at this one. Looks down.
That's cool. And if you look at it, I can imagine if you zoom out, these are all probably fractal patterns as well.
Of course.
I saw this video that water has memory. They basically brought like a clear plate, and they wrote like letters like on a piece of paper, and then they put the clear plate on top of it, and they filled it with water, and they froze it. The water took the shape of the letters, that were under.
I remember seeing that somewhere too. We gotta get a link for that video.
Man, it's like the
definitely. I'd like to see that.
Like how does it freeze in the image of the letters? It's just
that's
captured light, possibly reflecting back.
Letter,
I don't know, but that's mind-boggling.
That might explain where the letters came from. I mean, you look at the churches and the temples and the synagogues and all that stuff. They have the glass windows, panes with those shapes, those cymatic shapes on them.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. That is crazy.
Maybe they got the letters the same way through some kind of frequency.
And our universe is a magical place. It's just, there's much things that we still have to discover.
I know the upside down I mean, the number 5 upside down. The reason why it looks like a 2, there's a reason for that. I don't remember it, but it's a reason.
Oh, that's
There's a reason.
interesting. Like, you know, that our
Oh,
that our whole
numbers,
communication
like
system is based off
numbers,
of
literally,
frequencies.
they represent dimensions and force vectors within volume, and it's quite the complex thing, but it's a code and structure of the God code, and I've written out like half of it. I got to finish it. You got to be up for several days to start channeling it. And then it's like I think I'm at like 6 or 7, and it's
Balance was
crazy,
real
but
important.
it's there. That
You had to. You said you.
I can't talk about it until I just get it finished, and gotta just put it out there.
High voltage charge separation on a
Do
vehicle.
you guys want to hear a
He
joke?
found that circular.
Is that Tom Valone? That's young Tom Valone, isn't it?
Through Dr. Paul LaViolette's research, that the B2
Is it?
power actually seems to qualify as an electrical.
Go ahead, Lulu.
Why was 6 scared of 7?
Hey, sorry, you guys cut out. You said you had this.
Why
I
is
forgot this
scared
one.
of 7? Because 7, 8, 9.
Oh, right, because 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
You said you had to stay up for several days to channel something.
Yeah, like physics and like mathematic coding and stuff like that. It's like, but you got to stay up to like day 3, and then like I smoke some weed, and then it's like I'll just like sit there and meditate for a bit, and then it comes to me.
So it strengthens your connection to the Akashic.
Or source code or consciousness or whatever, but yeah.
Whatever you want to call it, but it helps you with achieving that enlightenment or whatever, or that epiphany.
You're just connecting into that conscious code, essentially. It's like a
Right, you're basically downloading the information. No, I've done the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what's
but
sun gaze. If you can stare at the sun, takes a lot of practice. But if you can stare at the sun,
is that kind of like a form of self-hypnosis?
I don't know, but it works. But you don't don't try it at one time, like every day, just at the
See, the one time I sun gazed while in that like sleep deprived state after smoking some weed, it was like some other entity hopped in and was like trying to warn of the imminent collapse of the universe freaking Matrix, and it was not good, not a good experience. I did not like that one. The story for another day, though.
Psilocybin does the same thing.
Yeah.
It puts you in this altered state of conscious. You have like, okay, the first thing that happens on those mushrooms, I'm sure you all know, that you start having laughter for no reason. You start laughing for no reason.
Exactly. It's the fasting.
And then after that goes away. I actually read this up in a little pamphlet on the effects of psilocybin some years after the fact, and everything was accurate in the pamphlet. After the laughter goes away, you have they call the first effect was hilarity, and the second effect was audio or visual. You start either hearing stuff. For me, it was audio. I didn't see any visuals, but I was hearing just about every life form that existed within the next half a mile around me. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I could hear everything, dude. I mean, and it was even at night, pitch black, no moon. I could hear. I didn't need to see, man. I could hear everything.
I know exactly what you're talking about, Mike. 100%. It's like this crazy.
And then if you couldn't hear it, you could smell it. You know, like
and you're aware of each other. It's crazy.
Right.
I've tried psilocybin, but I've heard.
Dang, dead fish ate 7 grams.
See, when you get to that point, then you get the out of body, but it's a bad trip, so you're not in control of your out of body, and like, well, yeah, it's wild. It's a wild
I think when
time.
you get older, though, it's a little harder to handle these things.
Yeah, exactly. Because yeah, you might not come back.
Psilocybin
Something else might
is
snatch it in the
an
meantime.
incredible medicine. It's an incredible medicine for sure.
Well, they give it to
And
old folks for hearing problems, and I can understand why.
Hmm.
You know, it does
That's
affect. You know, it affects your hearing. You're like supersonic hearing all of a sudden.
But it is it's also a spiritual medicine, you know, and it's incredible some of the positive effects. But it's
The
1 o'clock.
protein. The only thing I don't like about mushrooms is it has they call it it's like a toxin, you know. I forgot what it's called. It's, you know, like fungus, you know, type toxin, and but it's really dense in protein, so you can like eat some and not have to eat for like days. That's why those monks, Buddhists, whatever, they actually use the psilocybin mushroom in their soup before they go on that pilgrimage, so they get their protein like that, and they don't have to eat for days because it's so dense in protein.
Does it grow?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. Does it grow in a special place?
Yeah, I mean, there's different species of psilocybin worldwide. There's not just like one.
One that is supposed to. Okay, never mind.
No, they're gross.
I possibly find it in my backyard somewhere. This is what I'm trying to say.
If you know what to look for, yeah, but I wouldn't just.
Yeah, psilocybin has been found on every continent on this planet.
Right.
Yeah, it just looks different. Different areas.
All I got to say is know what you're doing when you're mushroom hunting, because there are very similar looking mushrooms in various species that are toxic.
You know,
I mean, I've picked, you know, kilotons of it in Florida. I'm not worried about the Florida version of it. I know exactly what it looks like and what it smells like. And
yeah, just do your research. You know, just don't go into it blind. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I with my luck, I'll probably get the poisonous one. That's all right. I'll pass on that one.
But I mean, they decriminalized them here in Michigan, in Ann Arbor.
Well,
So
like I say
if
about
you're
the
anywhere near Ann Arbor,
the ones that if you take like a shiitake from the store or a portobello and you smell it, you know that smell that like it's food.
Yeah.
Okay, well, usually the poisonous ones don't have that smell.
Oh.
They have no smell, like, and very little smell, or not. They're not like pungent with that smell. They're like very slight amount of that smell, or they have no color. You know, they're white underneath. Like they're not black underneath. They're white.
Eventually, I want to start growing some mushrooms with my rodent coil.
I wouldn't mess with the ones that are white underneath the umbrella.
No.
Or any of them.
What's that called? I forget what that part's
I'm
called.
done with those things.
But yeah, it's 1 o'clock. I'm gonna probably end my stream.
Ditto, guys. It's been a good stream. Got a lot of bases covered here.
Good stream. I left some music in the chat if you guys want to listen to it. I left like 3 songs.
Where?
In the private chat.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like classic music, techno.
No, I'll listen to it. I jam out to that stuff all the time.
The first, and then the last one is like a guitar, like electric guitar music, but the it's really good music, really really good. There's no words, it's just music.
Oh, I'll check it out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Yeah, good. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate you coming in, showing up for the premiere of
You doing a
Divine
thing
Science.
Monday then?
Yeah. Nathan and I will probably have a show. We haven't talked about what we're doing. I don't think he has any ideas yet, but I'll probably send him an email tonight.
Did you what was the thing with the flux capacitor?
Sitting on the edge of my toilet, hanging a clock.
Oh, yeah.
Did you? We wanted to see that thing. You said you had something going on there. You had a LED device?
Oh, me? No, I don't have nothing.
Oh,
I have the yeah, I don't have no device. I had the video that I put out today. That's all. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I worked really hard on it to make sure
it came
was,
out today. I didn't get the
fun.
notification.
Oh, you were there, the flux capacitor video?
Oh, that was it. The premiere. Okay.
Yeah,
that was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. So yeah, I'm glad you guys showed up and you enjoyed the video. That's all I wanted was to make something that you guys would enjoy
Sure.
and find educational.
It's awesome work, man. Good stuff. And yeah, we'll plan some more next week and keep her going, man.
Good job.
Sounds good. Yeah, thanks for joining us, guys.
Later.
Sure.
Have a good.
Have a good night.
See you, Bernie.
Oh,
Bye, Lulu.
Bye.
good night.